Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Liberty Libations. We're over the 100 hump now. We're at 101, and apparently everybody's quit. It's just me here, Zach, and then we have Alden. And this is the show now.
I call 100 Hump as a band name.
Yes. But if you're over the 100 hump, you're like, they're
I'm
not
over
that great
band.
anymore.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm over them. They're washed.
So what are you drinking?
I've got a Sapporo and some Buffalo Trace as like a sidecar. It's kind of a weird combination, but I'm liking it.
Whatever. Yeah, I've always thought it was funny. Like, I don't know if Sapporo does this, but there's Asahi. That's the Japanese beer.
Yeah.
And apparently they would sponsor like local bands in Japan.
That's cool.
And then like some random band would go up on stage and play and then just be like, Asahi Super Dry. Like, that's their little advertisement.
That's like, you have to plug the one little line there. Yeah. If you're the 100 Hump band, you have to.
Sponsored by Asahi.
That's funny.
Which is, not that much more ridiculous than being sponsored by Rabbit Eye Wine. I mean, here we are.
Yeah. We're doing the same
definitely
thing.
Somebody in Japan right now being like, in America, they have podcasts and they
have one
sponsored by wine.
Yeah. It's no different.
Anyway, go check out rabbiteyewine.com or go to their, or, you still need to go to the .com to do this part too. I'm getting ahead of myself. But you can also find it locally. If you don't want to buy it online, then go find it locally. If you're in Georgia, it's all over the South, around Atlanta, some in Rome.
Even a couple up by me, Chattanooga up here.
Fort Oglethorpe and wherever that is, somewhere south of Ringgold. Anyway,
wherever that is. I love how professional we are.
Yes. All right. So let's see. Let's get into our first story. And I have something screwed up, so I'm going to have to mess up the window again. Nope. There we go. Maybe it's okay.
Looks all right.
Fine. All right. So our first story, and I'm clicking a lot of buttons here. So there we go. Russia launches ICBM. And we have that video here. So let's watch this real quick and then we'll talk about it. Just says Russia fires intercontinental ballistic missile with multiple reentry warheads on a city in Ukraine. I guess there's no sound, but that is not what I would have expected a missile to look like. That looks like a plasma storm or something.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I'm no expert. I didn't know what to expect, honestly, but it looks like something from like a video game. That's crazy.
Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it was. Like, remember when this thing first kicked off and everyone's like, oh, look at this Ukrainian gunman shooting this dude out of the sky. And everyone's like, that's actually from Arma 3. It's just really good graphics.
Yeah. God. Yeah, it turns out this is just from like Halo or something.
Yeah.
I thought I had seen in the news that that it was Ukraine that was just approved to use long-range missiles by us or are sold by us or whatever on Russia or something. Did they use them yet, or is Russia hearing that and then getting ahead of that, or I don't know.
They've used them. So I guess they have these missiles called ATACMS. It's very on the nose, silly name. It's like
attack what?
Are these ATACMS? That's what they're called.
ATACMS?
It's like ATACEMS. I don't know. It's like they given it like a proper like military industrial name, but at the same time it spells out ATACMS. It's just like,
they love to do that. That's so silly.
Yeah.
I just learned recently, and I have looked into the Patriot Act and 9/11 like a million hours, you guys know. And I just learned that the Patriot part of a Patriot Act is like an acronym.
Yeah.
Some goofy long acronym. What? Like, I didn't even realize that was the case like this whole time. Anyway.
Yeah, it's the USA Patriot Act. So it stands for Uniting and Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism.
That's so absurd. I feel like
it sounds like Bush himself came up with that.
Yeah. USA is already an acronym. Like, that's so weird to like have it be multiple meanings. Oh my God. Sometimes I just hate the world we live in.
That is weird.
We're not in the best version of reality. Whatever one that we are in, we got the short stick, I think. Like,
yeah, we're in the clown world, multiverse, whatever.
Yeah. Earth
But
69.
For sure. But I think what had happened is the the ATACMs are like medium range, I guess. And I don't know what any of that really means, but like I guess an ICBM could, hit Europe, or it could hit somewhere pretty crazy far away from Russia. But these ATACMs,
do they go out of the atmosphere and then back down or something? Or
I'm really not sure. I know, like, I would doubt that these would, because they're enough to hit like Russia from Ukraine, and they did launch them. Apparently, they launched like 6 of them, and like 5 of them got shot down, but 1 hit. And then what I was seeing with this Russian one is, I guess this was their retaliation, and it says, well, it doesn't say it in this one, but people were reporting that they were hypersonic missiles, or a hypersonic missile, I guess, with multiple warheads. But if it's hypersonic, basically, it was launched because it just hit. Like, you don't even really get any time to see it incoming. You're just like, there's an explosion, and you're like, oh, I guess they launched a missile. So
interesting. Yeah, I had seen that that Ukraine was like approved for, or whatever, sanctioned to use, long range or whatever, maybe medium range missiles or whatever. And
and they did. They fired somewhere into Russia, and I guess one of them hit something.
And are we surprised that Russia fired back? I mean, like, at this point, like, this is why we don't do this. Like, I don't know. I just get I don't mean to just like oversimplify it, but it's frustrating.
No, I mean, I think that's what probably Russia's message is here, is like, we launched this hypersonic missile. You're lucky that it was just carrying these warheads, because it could have been a nuclear warhead.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think those ATACMs or whatever we've authorized can carry nuclear warheads, but whatever Russia just launched definitely can. This CNBC article says using long-range missiles signals it's ready for nuclear response. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, escalating. Great. Fun. Good stuff.
It also says mobile bomb shelters are going into mass production in Russia.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Cold War all over again, kind of. A lot of bomb shelters and vodka. I don't know.
Yeah. Here's another one. It says Russia launched a new experimental hypersonic medium range, non-nuclear. So that kind of flies in the face of everything we just read. Well, I guess it wasn't nuclear.
They're just not nuclear armed.
Missiles aren't nuclear or not nuclear.
It's the warhead itself that's exactly. Right.
And I thought this was funny. It's named Orshnik or Hazel. So Shane Hazel's name in Russian sounds way worse.
I feel like probably a lot of words. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
That is funny. I wonder if he knows that. That's hilarious. Yeah, I imagine
in English, it's like a nice color. Yeah, in English, it's like a nice color to describe somebody's pretty eyes. And then in, Russia, it's Orshnik.
Yeah.
It sounds like a poison.
Talking about a bomb. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does it sounds like arsenic almost, with like a mouthful of peanuts or something. Now I'm being mean.
Yeah.
Arsenic.
There's no Russians listening.
I don't know.
Plus, you can be mean to them. It's legally required, even, I think.
Legally required. Will be soon, I'm sure. But yeah, I think in my dumb brain, I think of like missiles as just giant bullets, and it's like basically, all your cartridge and powder and everything, and then like if you just like swap out for like, armor piercing or something at the top, like that would be like the equivalent of like a nuclear warhead or whatever. But so that's what I think of it. They're just ginormous bullets. That's all they are, which is not true.
That works.
So fun stuff.
Yep. So not a ton of good news there. Hopefully, I've heard tale that Trump and Elon are doing back channel stuff to try to stop it. I don't know if any of that's true. I also think that would be probably illegal for them to do right now. But
you mean before they're actually appointed to any position or whatever?
Yeah, apparently you can't do any what's the word? Foreign policy if you're not part of the government. So if I went over and started like making a deal with Kim Jong-un, that might be illegal.
Right.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah.
That's my professional opinion of the matter anyway.
It's like the equivalent of like when I used to work at Walgreens and I was walking out the door and we already clocked out, and I would just see something on the shelf and I would just straighten it on the way out. I literally would just like pull a bottle forward or something.
Yeah.
And I got yelled at because they're like, "You're off the clock. You can't do that." And I was like, "I do that in stores when I'm walking by that I don't even work at. Go fuck yourself." Like, it's weird. Anyway.
Yeah, they're weird about that in retail because they want like to be like, well, we didn't ask him to do that.
Right.
We can't get in trouble.
Cover your ass thing. So if I go to pull it forward and the whole shelf falls on me and I'm trapped and I die, then I can't sue them because they told me not to do it. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a cover your ass thing.
Here's another one from Brian, which I'm not even really sure what this act is, but the Restrict Act is restricting the emergence of security threats that risk information and telecommunications technology act. That's not even a good one.
That's a mouthful, man. Yeah. The Strategic Homeland Interventions and Logistics Division.
Yeah. And they reverse engineer that. They're like, well, what do I want it to say? I want it to say restrict.
That's what's so goofy about these is that we know that you're working backwards to make it fit already. So it's just like, I don't know, just call it something else. It's just so dumb. I find it so goofy. Not a fan.
All right. Any more thoughts on Russia, Ukraine, lobbing missiles at each other?
Is this going to be like, what is the argument for, the not our position, like the other side that's sending more weapons and like it's never going to be enough to quote unquote work as far as I am concerned against Russia. So you just like, is this going to be the thing where like, where's the line? What is enough? How much money is it going to cost? How many more, like, how long is this going to go on? How many more people are going to have to be injured or killed? Like, how much more are we going to bleed the American taxpayers dry in the process? Like, I just don't understand. Like, aren't we seeing this like escalation against just like the machine that is Russia? Like that they can just throw anything at it. Like they'll fucking melt down your belt buckles to make more things. Like, I don't know it's bottomless. I don't understand why. This just feels futile to me. I don't get it, but
and it has the whole time, in my opinion. I mean, I think anybody who is being honest about it can look at it and be like, Ukraine is a small country, and next door it's Russia.
Yeah,
it's big. They're going to lose. We've all been
saying it for sure, but like now I feel like it's getting to the point where it's like, okay, now we're like here on the escalation meter, and it's like the same. I feel like the same problem that we've been saying, except for now it's more money and more deaths and more scary.
Yeah.
Do we stop or do we like double down now? Like, I don't understand.
Well, this seems like they're doubling down. I mean, because the whole medium range attack them things, that's been talked about for probably a year plus now. And they're all like, no, we can't allow that. But now that they're out of power and, Trump has presumably said some things about ending the war and it's not going to just be a blank check under him. We'll see. Right. So now they seem to be getting desperate. They're like, escalate. Although it is weird to think that is their entire reasoning. I don't know if that's it. It's just like, well, we need to escalate this so he can't possibly stop it.
Oh, okay. Right.
I don't know.
That may be because it is ramping up. It's not going the other way as far as I can tell. So,
yeah.
But I mean, that's about all I got on it. It's just like, it doesn't make sense to me, and it has never made sense to me. But what were you going to say there?
Well, we're also in the exact same spot. Like, I remember when Russia first invaded, I remember thinking it's like, well, that really sucks. You don't like seeing somebody get invaded, but the answer right now is to negotiate. And if that means they have to give up something, that's what negotiation's about. And I would rather see that than see people die. Yeah. And now here,
the ultimate cost here.
Couple years later, lots and lots of people have died. We've wasted tons and tons of money. And now they're talking about, well, maybe we'll have to negotiate and give some stuff up.
Yeah. And it's like, we could have skipped all of this. And oh man, it's hard to even like joke about but like sometimes it's just like the move I do when I'm just like really just frustrated or uncomfortable with something or whatever. But like, because I know the stakes are super high, and this is why I'm not a proponent of this strategy. I don't see how it benefits the Ukrainian people. I'm open to hearing a case from someone that can really, but I haven't heard one that's convinced me that this is the right way. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating. And yeah, and to get to all the way to the end, and then to basically learn through your actions that you're like, oh yeah, it's what we thought, we can't win. And so let's negotiate now. And why? What are they gonna do? I don't see, what are you gonna you're never gonna be able to hurt Russia more than you're hurting yourself. And now, we're financially at least tethered to this, and that's frustrating, and that a whole other point, really.
But we see things differently, and I think we see them correctly. But it's so weird seeing people like Lindsey Graham be like, "Oh yeah, all this money that we've spent is the best money we've ever spent." He knows.
Does he really say that?
Yeah, he said best money we've ever spent, talking about giving money to Ukraine. I'm like, oh yeah,
really?
not giving money to Lahaina or North Carolina or whatever.
No, right.
Who cares about all that? The best money we've ever spent is giving it to Ukraine, even though, he's a colonel in the army. I think he has to see that we're losing. But his
crazy.
Incentives are different, I guess. It's like when you're giving old weapons to them, so that they can lob them at Russia and inflict damage, and then you're able to then buy new weapons and pay your friends to manufacture them. It's like, well, we get these shiny new weapons, and my friend is rich now, so I don't care.
You had milk in the fridge about to go bad, and you found a buyer. Of course you're excited. I don't know. To me, I'm.
And that buyer threw the expired milk at your neighbor that you hate. It's like,
right, win.
That's great.
But that neighbor has a gun, so it's not. This metaphor is really strange, but it's about right.
Kind of works.
Good. Yeah.
All right. We'll move on
wise.
to our second topic here, which topic that comes up a lot on the show. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is now hovering around $98,000 a coin.
Damn.
So, and
to think that someone used hundreds of coins to buy a pizza back in the day is just wild.
Yeah. I think it was 10,000.
Is it that much, that with the whole pizza story thing?
Yeah, I think it was 10,000 Bitcoin.
Oh my God.
Let me look it up. Bitcoin pizza.
I haven't heard it in a minute, but
yeah, 10,000 Bitcoin.
Defense, it was 10,000. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
In his defense, it was for 2 pizzas.
Oh.
So,
So that would now be almost $1 billion.
Good God.
Yeah.
Which
I know people are like, oh, that sucks for him, and he's an idiot or whatever. And it does, I guess.
Well, he might still have more too. I don't know. I don't know this person. He might have 10,000 more.
True. But then he also helped popularize Bitcoin a lot in the early days. So there's an argument to be made that none of this would be happening if it weren't for that proof of concept that, kind of made some media.
Yeah. Into their own hands and just making deals happen and kind of getting it out there, the story out there, and because there was news. That's how I heard about it at the time. There was some kind of news coverage on it or something. So you're right. Yeah, it's the sort of early adopters and the early users that really get the word out and set the trend, and so that's kind of a useful step, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. It's doing well, and cool. I don't have a lot of it, but the bit that I have is worth more. So, but I don't have $100,000 worth or anything.
No, you don't need to have a lot of it. Just don't have none. Have some. If you can afford $5 of it, I would say go get $5 of it. It's just fun.
I used to put 5 or 10 at a time, for a little bit, just keep adding to it, but.
Yep. That's what I do basically. I buy a little bit every month, and sometimes I'll spend Bitcoin. I usually digital things, if I buy server space or I renew a domain name or something, I'll spend it and I'll buy a slightly more than I need. So that way I'm still going up, but I'm also encouraging it to be used, I guess. I don't know. That's my thoughts, but
that's fair. Yeah, that's interesting. Keeping it relevant while still holding on to some. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right. We have Nick joining us. Welcome, Nick.
What's up?
Can't hear you yet, Nick. Anyway, we'll
hear me.
Yeah, a little bit. Say something else.
A little bit.
I think you're on a different mic.
Oh, it does sound like a room mic.
Yeah.
Try that.
That's better.
Okay. I don't know why it is. You never used to do that. Missing stuff. Where's Jake?
Jake got sick. So like an hour before the show, he started not feeling well. So it's just us tonight.
Yeah, he's pooping out of his mouth. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Well, go Steelers.
Yeah, man.
Well,
is that a Harrison jersey?
What?
Is that a James Harrison jersey?
Hell yeah.
Right on, man. The silverback is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Does he still hold the record for the longest Super Bowl play? The 99.9 yard play.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to beat that one.
Yeah.
I mean, he picks the ball on the 1 yard line and just. He's not a small dude. Like, I just remember him sucking oxygen out of the tank.
Yeah, he was gassed, man. Yeah. What a good game, though. Anyway, you get me talking about Steelers, I'm off. But
well, you joined just in time for us to talk about Bitcoin. So we talked a little bit about Russia, Ukraine, and now we were just looking at how Bitcoin is at 98,000.
On the Russia stuff, I don't know if you just saw this, but I saw it right before I hopped on. But Douglas McGregor, the good colonel, was reporting explosions in Krasnodar, Russia. It looks like long-range weapons striking within Russia.
Great.
Okay.
So,
breaking large explosions being reported in something Russia. So I guess it's all happening again. We're behind now, just talking about these.
So the cycle's starting over.
Well, these are explosions being reported in Russia. So that means
which they already fired those ATACMS, but I guess 5 of 6 of them got shot down, and then the one that did hit, I guess, hit a military target. Yeah. So let's see. I'll pull up what I'm seeing here. I mean, who knows what's going on right now, but U.S. Civil Defense News, it says, update, massive explosions in Krasnodar, Russia after NATO-backed Ukrainian forces strikes with U.S. and UK assistant. All right. So they sound legit because they can't speak English very well.
Yeah, I was going to say.
What is it? It's kind of funny to even say like it's Ukrainian forces with our assistance or whatever, because some of these weapon systems.
With our assistant.
Yeah, with our assistant. We just sent a guy over there. He's our assistant.
Yeah.
Like some of these weapon systems can't be run by anybody but, NATO forces or US forces. So when they say Ukraine did it, it might be that we went over there and like set it up and it's like, all right, press this button and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like the satellite targeting and stuff like that. I mean, no one, at least Ukraine doesn't have the satellites to handle that. And Vladimir Putin made it very clear several weeks ago when this was first brought up that if long-range weapons were used, he knows very well that the targeting comes from the U.S. and U.S. infrastructure, NATO infrastructure, and that basically that would more or less be an escalation in the war. And it seems like Brandon is trying his best to ensure World War III before he leaves office.
Oh, I was like, who the hell's Brandon? Yeah. Gotcha.
So,
yeah, great.
Or at least the people around him, because I don't, at this point, who knows if if he even knows what's going on or knows what he's
question.
So yeah, it's concerning. It was concerning seeing the reports of ICBMs used in Ukraine, which also I didn't quite understand because Ukraine and Russia are right next to each other. So
yeah, long-range missiles.
It's probably just a demonstration.
It's probably a show of force, if anything. But then for Ukraine to respond by, I'm hoping that these reports are of military installations that are being hit and not civilian infrastructure. But neither is good. One's a little less bad.
I suppose, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm concerned they're really trying to play this game on, oh, there's no way they're going to use nukes. And I don't know how far you push it, but yeah, this is a marked escalation post election when the president and outgoing administration should not be not in the lame duck period.
Do you think that that's like a political tactical move of some kind to try to create more of a mess or something for the inheriting president here? Like, I don't know. I don't think that way,
I have
but
my
I don't know.
Suspicions that's what it is.
Yeah,
I have my suspicions.
They were even trying to do
it is because
funding bills that would last into Trump's presidency. So it's like, even if he didn't approve, like, what is it? There sometimes when they do funding bills, it's like you have to do it, I guess. I mean, you never have to, but it's like there would be some legal repercussions if he didn't give them the money. So I think that was another thing they were trying to do, is like, well into his presidency. It's like, well, they're funded, they're good, and if he doesn't do it, I guess we can impeach him for a third time.
Oh, they're
well, that was the first impeachment, right? That was the first impeachment. Was he held up a Ukrainian weapons deal because over the whatever demanding that Biden, he like held it up for like a day or so. No, it wasn't that long, but luckily I got my new Scott Horton book the other day.
Horton Hears a Who.
So now I can read all about the Russia-Ukrainian conflict and not truncate the antecedents just in time to get nuked. Actually,
perfect.
I was trying to bring it up, but he might be faster than me. Here it is.
What, the book? Or?
I was just bringing up a picture of the book.
Yeah.
But he's probably getting his physical copy right now. So Provoke.
I want everyone to understand how big this book is.
That's a tome.
Yes, it's like 700 pages, and it's not the regular size book. It is larger. It is a quite large book.
How big is the print? Pretty small.
So
yeah, that is a fraction of Scott's mind just on paper there.
The Cold War Bible.
He started writing it, just like right after the war started, and finally 1,000 days in, he has it released. It came out for order on Sunday morning. I was up going hunting, and I caught the tweet like 20 minutes after he sent it at like 5 in the morning, and got up in the deer stand. And once it got light and I'm sitting out there, I ordered me a copy from up there. And then I killed a buck, which is why I was late, because I was eating some deer steaks.
Oh, nice.
And then the drone delivered the book to you in your deer stand?
I wish. We're not quite there yet.
Some Ready Player One shit here.
But eventually, yeah, I would, being that I just got it the other day, I haven't read it yet, but if you haven't.
You mean you didn't read that whole thing yet? Yeah.
Unfortunately, no, but I am going to have to sit down and start digging into it, but I would, highly recommend, his other books were great. And I mean, talk about like a magnum opus. I mean, this thing is massive.
Yeah. You can work out with it while you read. Two birds, one stone.
So,
well, hopefully his part 2 is much smaller. That would be nice, but who knows? This thing could keep going, and there's another one of those in a few years.
Well, I mean, he's got this up to like as recent as possible. I was listening to an interview with Scott today, and he was like, right after I hit send on the exact copy to get it going, we crossed the $36 trillion of debt mark, and now I'm out of date on that. Like he
can't even keep up with it.
Yeah. So he's the man's an encyclopedia, and everything is cited and sourced, and you can't beat that.
Yeah.
What's your hunting rifle, by the way, just as an aside, Nick?
I'm using a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Oh, okay.
But it's archery it's archery season through tomorrow.
Oh, okay, yeah. I haven't started hunting in this area yet, so I don't even know what the seasons are.
Georgia, on private land, it's basically rifle from October to whenever.
Oh, nice.
And you can take 10 deer, I think 2 antlered. I'd have to relook. Before I moved out of Georgia, I paid the like $700 for a lifetime hunting license, so I can come down there and hunt and fish anytime I want.
That's cool.
I haven't used it yet, but like you can only buy that while you're a resident. So
okay.
Wow. I'm like, I might as well just buy it now that I'm moving. And it, it explicitly says if you're moving out, if you have to buy it while you're a resident, but it's still good if you move out.
Okay.
So like right when I knew I was leaving, I spent the $700 and whatever dollars on it. So I have a lifetime license and don't have to worry about it again.
Yeah,
so,
nice.
But yeah, it's pretty relaxed there. But yeah, I took it with a crossbow.
Nice.
He stopped 20 yards in front of my stand. He just came out and
that's close.
I mean, it was like I got a little bit of a warning he was coming, and then I looked up and he was right there, popped out of off of a trail off the side. And he went behind a bush where last week I had a buck come by and lay down behind. Mm-hmm. So I never got a shot because on the other side of the bush, he was too far. I had no shooting lane. And instead of him continuing on, he stopped and then he went back down that trail. This week, this one came in. When he went behind that bush, I clicked the safety off, had it up, and then he crossed right over in front of me and literally stopped at like my 20-yard mark. And I just crosshairs on and like perfect shot, nearly perfect.
Nice. I've never used a crossbow, so I don't know how accurate I would be with that, but I came in right behind the shoulder like you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. I think hit both lungs, and I mean he was down in 100 yards. Like he ran up the hill out onto a field, and by the time I got out of the stand to go tracking and find it, I got up to the field and it was right there. So we pulled the truck around and down the road to the processor. Oh, it was as clean and as good as you could ever want it to be. Yeah, nice, man. Good job. Nice. What are you drinking, by the way, man?
Some of the mead I made.
Oh, nice.
We did work through it. I got
drinking mead you made and eating a deer you shot. That's great.
That's like some libertarian independent living right there, man. I like it.
Right?
Living walk on the walk here, yeah.
I try to do what I can. So make some mead.
I made this whiskey. No, I didn't.
I've got some more in the basement. I've got like 6 gallons that I've got to finish up on. One I was waiting for a bigger wide mouth fermenter to because it's an apple juice base sizer. Mm-hmm. So I was waiting for that so I can then I finally got the big fermenter so I can transfer over to that, soak in dehydrated apples and cinnamon sticks for some flavor for a couple weeks, and then bottle that. So
that sounds good, man. Good for the season.
Then I had some other honey from a farm that I picked up last year, and I turned that into a gallon also that I need to properly bottle. So
sweet. Love me some mead. All right, I got a sidetrack for a lot there. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Well, this topic we have to move on to is not much more fun. So we were going to talk about the other war going on, and war in Gaza. So it says top war crimes court issues arrest warrants for Netanyahu and others in Israel Hamas fighting. Let's see. I don't think I have it on the right thing. Boom. All right. So I also found this funny. It's like The Hague is where this story is apparently reporting from. Mm-hmm. It says the world's top war crimes court issued arrest warrants Thursday for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his former defense ministers, and Hamas's military chief, accusing them of crimes against humanity in connection with the 13-month war in Gaza. The warrant said that there was reason to believe Netanyahu and the former defense minister Yoav Gallant have used, quote, starvation as a method of warfare, end quote, by restricting humanitarian aid and have intentionally targeted civilians in Israel's campaign against Hamas. Israel denies that. And then down here, that all sounds cool, but let me see. What did I highlight here? It says the warrant marks the first time that a sitting leader of a major Western ally has been accused of war crimes and crimes against humanity by a global court of justice. The decision turns Netanyahu and others into internationally wanted suspects, putting them at risk of arrest when they travel abroad and potentially further isolating them. Israel and its top ally, the U.S., are not members of this court, but others of Israel's allies, including some of its European friends, are put in an awkward position. Several, including France, welcomed the court's decision and signaled that they might arrest Netanyahu if he visited. And then way down here, this is what I was thinking of. It says the warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant were issued by, who cares, 3 judges unanimously. But it says, despite the warrants, none of the suspects are likely to face the judges in The Hague anytime soon. Member countries are required to detain suspects facing a warrant if they set foot on their soil, but the court has no way to enforce that. For example, Russian President Vladimir Putin, wanted on an ICC warrant for alleged war crimes in Ukraine, recently visited Mongolia, a member state in the court, but also a Russian ally, and he was not arrested. So this may be more symbolic than anything, but I guess these, Netanyahu and this other guy and this Hamas guy, as if the Hamas guy would be allowed to travel anyway, but they have to kind of think twice if they're going to come to France or Canada or any of these places that are a part of this court.
That's fine. He can still come to the U.S. because, one, I don't think the U.S. is party to it, and 2, there's no way they'd ever turn over their Netanyahu. Especially with the incoming Trump administration and the fact that he's basically Jared Kushner, his son-in-law's godfather. When Kushner was a kid, reportedly he stayed at the Kushner house, and Jared Kushner would sleep on the couch while Netanyahu used his bedroom. Like that's how tight this is.
That's how close in it. Yeah, jeez.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm me personally, I just don't want to get involved in that either as a nation, that whole another war that I just don't have a clear side and I just don't really want to support. And so I was just talking to a family member of mine about it, and they're like, I've got one that's super pro, Israel, and I've got one that's it's very on the other side. And I'm like, I don't know. I find it funny that we all feel like we have to just take sides in general on things that just aren't really our fight. But
well, if the U.S. didn't take sides, this likely wouldn't be happening. Just like in Ukraine, where Ukraine would be forced to negotiate if it weren't for the U.S. backing up, and escalating every step of the way. Same thing is here. If we weren't, close allies with Israel, letting this happen and giving them the support needed, then I don't know. I don't think it would have gone on this long.
Well, you wouldn't have them leveling Gaza and everything else associated with it. I mean, it's all the fact that the U.S. runs cover for it, the U.S. funds it. So the more they do that, the more you kind of have to have some sort of side, which is quit spending my money on what's supposed to be a fairly successful country on the other side of the world. Right? They're not some poor country. They're a fairly rich, developed nation.
Talking about Israel right now, or
yeah.
I don't know, man. Just
not
about it.
Money.
Here is Justin Castro Trudeau talking about whether or not he will abide by it. I guess
I hate his face.
Let me get this. Yeah, I really do too. I'm sorry, I'm making you look at him. Here it goes.
Now that the ICC has issued warrants for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, Canadian law enforcement is obligated to arrest them should they come to Canada. Will you allow that to happen, or will you step in to prevent an arrest?
First of all, as Canada has always said, it's really important that everyone abide by international law. This is something we've been calling on from the beginning of the conflict. We are one of the founding members of the International Criminal Court, the International Court of Justice. We stand up for international law, and we will abide by all the regulations and rulings of the international courts. This is just who we are as Canadians.
Now that the ICC has issued warrants.
Oh, Zach, you're muted.
Oh. So it sounds like he can't go to Canada now, or if Trudeau's being serious and not just, slippery.
Is that a big loss though?
No.
No.
I mean, I wouldn't feel great if I couldn't go to Canada, but
they wouldn't let me into Canada for a number of years there. So,
what, you crossed it many times over?
I just didn't get the jab or whatever.
Oh, there was that. No, when the company I used to work for, my boss's boss kept going up to Canada from the Pittsburgh office. He'd spend like a week in Pittsburgh, a week in Montreal, and a week at the Vancouver office. Like he was traveling up there all the time. And he tried to get the the Nexus Pass.
Yeah.
That to cross the border without having to go through like all the custom stuff.
Yeah.
And so to do that, he was in Montreal. He got an appointment in the Vermont office, I think. So he drove from Canada down to Vermont. It did start to do the interview thing, and the Canadians realized how often he was crossing in. He's like, "Oh yeah, I go up there for meetings and this and that." And it comes out that he actually he's the boss of those guys up there. So they're like, "Oh, you don't have a work permit to be here."
Gotcha.
And slapped like a 5-year ban on his entry to Canada. And he's like, "All my stuff's in the hotel in Montreal."
Oh.
They're like, "Oh, you better go figure out a way to get across the border and get it."
It's ridiculous.
Which I think he did find a way and then left. But yeah, they're strict. Like I went up there one time for work, and we had to install our lubrication system up there, and they
sounds
basically
like a good weekend.
Well, on a rail system. And so to avoid like the issues of work permits and stuff, we basically like sent people who didn't have titles of field service or whatever. So it was basically those with engineer titles went up there. "Oh yeah, we're going up for a meeting." Had like a small toolbox of basic tools, bought like shovels and whatever else we needed up there, and just did it.
Yeah.
Just on the down low, so we didn't have to deal with Canadian headaches. I
mean, I get it when they make it that annoying and difficult. They're actually just promoting a lot of people to just find workarounds anyway. Like
again, this is like railroad. This was the government. This was a government agency, transit agency or whatever that we were do. It was a subcontracted through whatever contractor or whatever, but still, I mean, it was like, we're just gonna skirt around it a little bit.
Yeah. Ask forgiveness instead of permission kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, any more thoughts, Nick, on Netanyahu now being an international fugitive? Does that mean anything, or is this just symbolic? What do you think?
I mean, he's already basically kind of a fugitive in his own country. Him holding the prime ministership's the only reason he's not getting prosecuted for corruption as is.
Yeah.
So, no, he's a scumbag. Always has been. And, eventually he's going to lose that prime minister office, and he's going to end up getting prosecuted for that. So I wait that day.
I was going to bring up one last thing on it, which is, what were they saying? Something about starving people or cutting off food supplies or some kind of thing. It's like the basis for this. And I don't know how like well known this is or popular this is, or maybe you guys know about this, but like we basically did that in World War II. Like when we sabotaged like rail cars and things, like going into different areas, and were trying to starve out the Nazis. But it ended up actually, in part at least, being part of why the concentration camps were in such bad shape was actually because we sabotaged the trains that were bringing in food and supplies into those areas or whatever. I'm not saying we intentionally did that to those particular people, but we did it intentionally to starve out some people, and it ended up infecting a lot of people. So it's just one of those things that,
yeah, and that seems to be one of the things too. You can have plausible deniability. Like if you're bombing the rail lines so they can't move in food, you can also be like, well, they're moving in tanks or you
yeah, you
know,
just say,
whatever on those same rail
right.
lines. So
Yeah.
All right, let's move on here to the next subject, which was melee. Oops, I unshared everything. Give me a second. But the
No
next one
worries.
is melee. So, or melee.
Malay.
Only
I've been
time I
saying
learned how to
Malay, but
I
I
say
don't know.
Malay, but
Yeah.
melee. Why can I not find it now? Oh, there it
I
is.
didn't get a chance to watch this yet or listen
No, I
to it
haven't
or
either.
anything. So
I haven't seen
All
this.
right. So this is from Dave Benner, nemesis of neocons. He says, watch, Javier Milei explains his anarcho-capitalist philosophy and biggest influence. Let's hear
Strictly
what he has to
speaking, I
say.
am an anarcho-capitalist. I despise the state, government. I despise violence. Probably from my point of view, the person who has been the greatest inspiration in my life is essentially Murray Newton Rothbard.
Mm.
So therefore, there are two dimensions. One is where I want to go, and
Zane
the
would be proud.
where I stand. So the most important thing is to try each day to advance further toward that ideal of anarcho-capitalism. In that sense, sometimes we face strong and harsh criticism regarding that ideal vision. I think that's the nirvana fallacy. If you compare yourself against paradise, everything is horrible and miserable, but you don't live in paradise. You live on earth.
Mm.
Strictly speaking, I am an anarcho-capitalist.
Did he call that the nirvana fallacy?
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard that one before.
I haven't either, but I think that's a reasonable place to sort of like reassess. If that's what you're comparing yourself to is quote unquote perfection, then that's just unrealistic for basically anyone. It's interesting.
So, what do you think, Nick? You got any thoughts on how Milei is doing and how Argentina is improving or anything overall?
economically, it seems like Argentina is on the right path. It's kind of crazy on this, right? Like you follow enough sources in the libertarian sphere, and you kind of always get to someone who's black pilled over whatever, right? I see, and I didn't dig into it. You see people like Whitney Webb coming up with, oh, well, Malay's actually doing this. He's a stooge of, this. He's, defense pact with the U.S. or, allowing U.S. whatever here or there. Or,
same as she does for J.D. Vance or any and I don't disagree with her necessarily, but I'm like, I don't know. I just hope that the good stuff comes out and this bad stuff doesn't happen, but it always seems to be the opposute.
When it comes to world leaders, yeah.
And overall, it's like, what we're seeing is you're looking at a country that was just infested with leftism. Just the leftists came in and just have wrecked everything for so long and made it so bad.
And Nazis.
Finally, the people were willing to say, okay, this leftist stuff isn't working. As much as they like to promise us this free thing, that free thing, they're just destroying us.
Nothing's free.
Yeah, right. And I mean, that's where leftism, where the leftist stuff always ends. It's always it's a philosophy of destruction. Yeah. So
when I was there, I was in an Uber at one point, and I don't speak great Spanish. This guy didn't really speak great English, but there were just like tour buses lining the streets at this one part. We were driving somewhere, and he just points at them and then looks at me and goes, "Comunistas." And I was like, "Oh, they're having like a communist rally, and I guess he understood that enough. He's like, see, it's like they were having a big communist rally and bust in like thousands and thousands of people to this soccer stadium. It was in a part
they
of town
needed that big of a venue, like that they needed like a stadium.
I mean, there were tons of buses. Like it put Kamala busing in her people to shame, because and it was in a part of town called Atlanta. Yeah.
Oh.
Is it near the Kyle Rittenhouse Community Center?
Yeah, probably not, but there were a lot of like random shops where I guess like rent was cheap or something, because there was like a 3D printing and Bitcoin shop when I was there, but then like I went by once and they weren't open, and then like another
it's just
place
a
we had
wander front, like.
I mean, maybe. I think it might have just been a place for people to like hang out with their friends. It's like,
they just play dominoes or some shit. Like,
and then there was also like an origami shop, which maybe isn't the craziest thing in the world, but at the same time, it's like you sell enough stuff to have an entire origami shop here in like
that as a
Palermo.
Business. Yeah, I know it's a craft. I know it's a thing. I know people do it, but I never thought of a brick and mortar place to go get your origami supplies on. Like,
there was a lot of stuff like that. Also, last thing, but there was almost never a general store where it's like, I just need stuff generally, let me go there. It's like there was stores that literally was like, this is the pants store, we only sell pants
it's
here.
Like the Anchorman joke, the pants store. Literally, you want shirts, go next door. Yeah. We do bread. If you want rolls specifically, though, it's over there. Like
not even kidding, there was a lot like hyper specific things like that. So
hey, when you specialize in something, you get a better product sometimes, you know.
Since you had to go to 12 different places
come on.
day. Something happening on the foosball game.
I was going to say, did you say foosball?
Yeah. Steelers were kicking a field goal and jumped. So it went back 5.
Gives them a first down or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, no. The Steelers fourth down were kicking a field goal, and now it's.
I thought you were saying, okay.
They kicked it. It went through, but flag before a false start.
So it just backs them up, like.
Backs them up 5 yards, and we're good. Okay, 3-0.
All right. Boswell for 3.
So sorry, I don't know where we were. We were talking about Kyle Rittenhouse Family Fun Center or something.
Yeah, well,
I interrupted you for something, but
so the so you know the leftist the pain got so bad from leftist policies, and the people finally said, all right, we're going to do something different, and we're going to go with the free market guy. And I think it's great to see. From what I can tell, economically things are working out. Yeah, you have. I mean, from what I can tell, economic growth is up. The inflation rate is down. A whole bunch of government employees getting fired. My understanding is also, quite corrupt as leftist regimes get, where there were basically just a whole bunch of like paid government employees, a whole bunch of people, just parasites living off of government goal, and I think Millet went in there and just fired a whole bunch of people and just said, we're not doing this anymore. And, go.
Like, didn't they have a minute
somewhere? They
had like a ministry of like women and diversity and natives or something. It's like just like, basically that. They just slammed every woke word together that they could think of. And it's like, that's our ministry of all the good things in the world.
Make some corny acronym and force it to work. Like, yeah,
it's true.
Yeah. So, I think that's the more important thing than anything is seeing the economics work and showing people, you might end up in a little bit of pain, but like a little bit of pain of getting rid of the, excessive government spending, this massive government behemoth, especially that we have here, which is going to be extremely painful, but $36 trillion in debt. The Social Security has 9 years left because, of course, they just spend all the money out of it instead of having saved it in a quote unquote lockbox and intelligently invested it since the program started. So,
I should have invested in Bitcoin.
Well, that'd be a smart way to do it. But at some point, the interest on our debt is going to exceed tax receipts, and then what do you do, right? I mean, you're going to have to print the money, which then is just debt anyway. So then you're just adding more. I mean, it gets so messy. And when you're talking about the global reserve currency, and there's ways to survive. There's ways that this is held off. It's there's the whole dollar milkshake theory that everyone's going to move eventually to is going to start moving towards the best currency, which is
dollar milkshake theory.
Right. So like as basically, even though the dollar is terrible, it's still better than basically every other currency out there. And as every other currency starts to kind of
it brings all the boys to the yard.
Goes with it. Yes. Okay. Everyone's going to start moving to what's more stable, right? Because Argentina there was talking about dollarizing. Places like El Salvador dollarized at one point, or at least like de facto dollarized before they implemented Bitcoin because they couldn't control it. So as the even worse fiats fail, you're going to see a higher demand for dollars, which will maybe stave things off a little bit. But at that point, then you're just centralized kind of on one terrible currency. And then it's such a mess. And like I can break it down a million different ways. But basically what it comes down to is you've got to stop spending excessively like we do.
On milkshakes.
On everything. So, but until we get to that point, people aren't going to be incentivized to look at alternatives like Bitcoin or stuff like that actually protects the value of your wealth.
Yeah,
because it's not painful enough, right? 10% inflation in a year, or 9 or whatever they claim it was painful, but not so painful that that people really looked elsewhere. Now, 10% per month, like Argentina was going through, that'll quickly get you looking at alternatives.
10 a month, was it really?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh my god, that's 100% in the 10 months or something. That's in under a year.
They were having to print new bills all the time. Like
basically,
one of the times,
go ahead.
That's wild.
I just said one of the times I went there, I got like $500 bills or something or 500 peso bills out of the ATM. And like people had never seen them before because they had just had to introduce that. And I think now there's even bigger ones. And that,
the unit is 500.
Yeah.
For
like
the
it used
bill,
to be, yeah. And like people were like, what is this? I've never seen it before. And I'm like, I swear it came out of the ATM.
Pretty soon it's going to be like yen or whatever, where it's going to be like in the thousands or something.
Well, then it's like the Zimbabwe where, $1 trillion of those were worth like $1 or something.
Good God.
Like, it just gets so out of hand once it gets down that path. But it seems like the economic reforms that Malay put in really started decreasing decreasing the rate of inflation. So, I mean, there's still inflation. It's still not perfect. But then you've got Elon Musk.
It's not in like a deflationary.
Well, I mean, like, when the money starts inflating, now you're talking about how do you run a business in that? Like, you've got to be, as it comes in, you've got to be spending it immediately, paying your people immediately. They've got to go buy immediately to get whatever they can for that value before
it goes up.
And then when it's bad, I don't blame people for not going straight to Bitcoin. Because like that may be the best one in our opinion and like what we want to hold on to. But like dollar is right there for them, which is still inflationary, but way better than their peso.
Again, this almost brings me back to Malay's thing of like comparing yourself to like Nirvana. It's like, or comparing yourself to something, that's like relative to where you are is better. It's not perfect, but it's better. So I get that with like the dollar being like
and
better.
They knew it was better, and they did things to prevent people from getting dollars where you could not get dollars out of ATMs for one. Like it was just illegal and could not be done. And then when you traveled abroad, like people would go to Uruguay on a ferry or something, and it only takes like an hour or two, and they would bring back dollars, and there were limits. So like people would literally smuggle dollars in like in their socks and stuff to get them into the country, just so that they would have something to hold on to that wouldn't be worthless next year.
Worth like a banana in a year. Like wow.
Yeah.
Man.
And it is funny too, where like people often just associate like Milei, oh, he's right wing, therefore things are going off the rails in Argentina right now. Like I've had friends who have visited Argentina and they're like, oh, I'm a little nervous with everything going on with Milei being crazy. And I'm like, I don't know, things sound a bit better to me, honestly. Like when I was there, inflation was crazy and there was a communist rally and it was still fine. It's not like I was in danger. But it's like people just associate. It's like, oh, well, someone who's not a socialist got elected, so things must be just now getting crazy in that country.
Yeah. Do you know, like, if you're the friends that you're talking about, like, where do they align politically in this country if they're from this country?
I would say just default left, but also they don't care that much. It's just they're probably left because all their friends are. But at the end of the day, it's not something we ever talk about.
That's like exactly where I pictured, which is like sort of like default left. Like if I had to pick just because cultural left kind of a thing, like just because, that's
because I don't want to lose all my friends and be the weird guy.
The media is going, that's where your friends are going. That's where it's like more popular to go away or whatever. I have a lot of friends that kind of feel like they're in that sort of, milieu or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I had kind of wondered, and it's just that general sense that like that if it doesn't go that way, like if it goes the other direction, it'll be worse, just from like what, like it's basically just pounded in a message from like the propaganda within our media systems. Like anyway, that's kind of what I had wondered. Which it's a pretty obvious guess because it's not. If they were more right-wing people, you probably wouldn't say that about another country or whatever. But it's all about relative to that country too, because it's like a country that's been left for so long that they're clearly out of balance and tipping toward the other direction. And I think Milei is more akin to libertarian. He's more right than. I don't know how right he even is officially on a political spectrum, but he's more so than they've been, I guess.
Yeah, I get that. And then it seems like
it needs to. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, it does seem too, like from the people that I've talked to, that the right in Argentina had historically sucked, just like ours does in a lot of ways. Like, back in when we were kids, it's like when we think of the right, we thought of like George W. Bush or whatever.
The Bushes,
we're like, well, that's awful too. We don't want that.
Is, of course.
And that's what I was hearing from people is like, they would be like, yeah, most young people are left because the old people are right. And they're all about militarism and like, they want to take back the Falkland Islands and like, they're just
everyone's
old boomers there too.
Yeah.
So.
Right. It's so funny, the political like cyclings, they just do the same kind of a thing where like one gets tired and no one likes them and then another gets into power, but then they abuse their power and then they eventually become the bad guys and then the other one comes in. Mm-hmm. This is why the two-party system is bullshit, because it just basically is a pendulum swinging within the same crooked machinery and it just nothing ever really gets better. But
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the point, right? You put as much power in as possible, and then you allow the conversation to be this wide. It seems with the Trump side, the conversation has significantly moved closer to what we would like to see. I'm just scrolling my phone. I see RFK apparently RFK is apparently proposing that they eliminate the AMA billing codes for hospitals.
I don't know what that would mean.
From my understanding on a quick read of the tweet, 60% of the AMA's funding comes from having those codes.
Oh, okay.
And like, it's just a ton of bureaucracy and like all this other stuff. And basically they force all the hospitals to use them or else not get paid or something. So it would like basically defund the AMA. And
that's interesting.
I have no idea if this is related, but just from what I've noticed with billing codes too, is a lot of times they'll be like, well, you had certain tests done that falls under certain billing code and your insurance doesn't cover that. We don't care what you did it for. It's that code. So we're not covering it.
Yeah. It's a way for,
I mean, there's literally like people who get jobs as medical coders because like medical billing coding, because
it's like medical law.
Like you basically have to learn how to like interpret what happened with the notes and figure out what tests and what this and what that and what code it falls under, and then it goes like it's. I mean, you look, at the issue with medical, and you see, there's been a growth in doctors as you would expect with the growth in population, but it's an exponential increase in the number of administrators to handle stuff like that. And you want to talk about like paying people to be useless. Like, I'm going to have departments of people whose job is to figure out how to
just
bill.
Interpreters and billers.
Versus like, hey, yeah, we have our prices here, and it's basically, all right, cashier, this, that, all right, goes to the insurance company and whatever. I mean,
I'm curious to see what it would look like without that then, and how quickly the system can kind of rebound and balance out. And
but also, like, I feel like it's getting to the point with something like with like medical coding, you could probably feed that stuff into like a chat GPT or large language model that could basically pick up and understand, all right, this, all right, hits this, and you could just erase like large swaths of useless, basically useless, non-value adding administrators.
Parasites.
Yeah.
Well, they're not technically working. They're not technically working for the government, so they're not technically parasites.
But they're in jobs that wouldn't exist if
it wouldn't exist if it weren't for the government. That's
right.
Exactly.
I mean, it's all non-value added, which. I mean, there's always non-value added stuff, right? Like, in any company. I mean, in where I work, right? I mean, you've got us, the engineers, and you've got the production guys, and you've got like the guys who order stuff. Well, I don't do that anymore, but then you have accounting, you have HR, you have safety, you have quality. These aren't grumpy. Quality might add some value, might add value because of certain things have to happen and it's then worth more or whatever. But right, those aren't value added, but they are to some extent necessary. But also, like where I am currently, right, there's one HR person, there's one safety person, there's a couple quality people. They're actually inspecting stuff and making sure stuff meets things. And so like it's not like there's some giant top heavy administrative thing there, right? It's like there's a couple people, and then like most people are in this like value add stream.
Yeah. And I do find it crazy with all the medical coding and stuff, where it's like just in a normal doctor's visit, a lot of times like they'll be doing something and unbeknownst to you, that was now a billable thing they just did.
Or like, they don't tell you about everything.
You have no idea until you figure it out later. You can interpret what they wrote down.
Yeah,
what's on your
and
bill.
then you figure it out and you're like, oh, that's a Band-Aid? Like, go fuck off.
Exactly.
It's $100 Band-Aid or some shit, like, or ibuprofen or whatever.
I was helping a family member. I was looking at one of their medical bills with them, and I'm like, what is this? Oh, that means they drew blood.
Yeah.
And they charged you for it. Like, you would think that would just be a normal thing. That's like
any
part of your
other
visit.
business model is like, if you bring your car in and if they just start doing shit to it and they don't tell you, like, hey, this is going to cost this. Do you want to do this? Here's the risk factor. If you don't do it, it's pretty low. But at the hospital, like, I feel like they just start doing shit. And it's like, it's one thing if you are unconscious and you're bleeding out of your asshole and they're like, we got to do it to save their life. Fine. That's one thing. But they do it all the time. Like, it's like their norm.
Well, that's because there's no pricing. There's no prices. Like, things cost stuff and you get billed, but you don't have prices. You don't have competition.
What did Brian say? Oh, sorry, Nick.
Right. You see things like the Surgery Center of Oklahoma. I don't know if you're familiar with them, Alden. I'm sure Zach has heard of them. So it's a private surgery center in Oklahoma. And basically, you can go on their website and they list the prices for every procedure they do on the website. Yes, there's a little bit of like variability because maybe we have some complication for this, but like basically like
a margin of sort of error.
There's a margin, but like, all right, our base rate is this. And if like everything goes fine and there's no complications during it, this is what you're going to pay us in cash.
That's fair.
And when you get that price, like, it's been a while since I've listened to the doctor that runs it, but listen to any interview with him. I haven't heard from him in a couple of years, but then, you go to your insurance company and you look and the same procedure is like 10, 15 times more expensive. Yeah. But then the insurance brings it in and then you still pay like maybe a little bit less than what that is, but you're talking about this whole giant ecosystem here,
and it looks like you've got this savings coming, but it's because it's blown out of proportion, the price.
So that it's like, oh yeah, with your insurance, it's only going to cost you this out of pocket. But then if you're factoring in like, what's the insurance cost, this, that, the other, and then you're like, well, I mean, if you factor everything in, like, they find that they're cheaper for people to fly into Oklahoma, have the surgery, get put up in a hotel nearby for a couple days for recovery. Like, they'll do knee replacements, they'll do like all sorts of stuff there. And it's like, all right, here's our price, and people,
and they're just doing normal market level type approach to things or whatever. Like,
no insurance. There's no reason that like insurance has to be some sort of really complex thing, right? I mean, like, you talk about your you see more and more the basic direct primary care, where you have doctors that are just like, I'm going to be your primary care doctor, but I don't take insurance. You're going to pay me a monthly subscription rate, and then concierge. For that, you come in whenever you want, you call whenever you want, you get on a Zoom, whatever you want, whenever you want. Here's the tests that are included with it whenever you need it, this, that, the other. We just don't do insurance here. Don't bring it. We don't take it.
That's interesting.
So that's how Ron Paul was when he was a young doctor. They didn't take any sort of insurance or government, whatever.
I didn't know that.
They also did not turn anybody away because they were like Catholic hospital, I think. So it's like they just figured it out if somebody couldn't pay.
And this was viable as a business model. Like, this worked for him for a while.
I mean, at the time, yeah.
Well, again, like you said, it was
religiously anymore.
It was religiously affiliated, right? So as you see that more and more, like around Pittsburgh here, you look at the main hospitals. There's two big hospital systems in Pittsburgh and around it, right? So UPMC, they have hospitals such as UPMC Presbyterian, UPMC Mercy Hospital, UPMC St. Margaret's, right? So basically these were all in some way or another religiously affiliated organizations that basically ran as charities on it. So like, if you could pay, you paid. We do this, and then over time it eventually got bought up by the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, which is a not-for-profit corporation that claims to have 0 employees, because the overarching employees. That was an argument at one point because there was a whole thing. So you had
like volunteer base, or what's the other?
No. So basically, what they were claiming is UPMC itself employed nobody, and it was all their subsidiaries that employed people.
Oh, so like contractor type.
Yeah. So in Pittsburgh, in Pittsburgh, it's been a thing for a little while now. But basically, you had UPMC running the hospitals. UPMC then got in the insurance game. Like, that's who my health insurance is through.
Okay.
But then you had West Penn Health System, also in Pittsburgh, and that got bought up by Highmark. So now you have two insurance companies.
Highmark. Sorry.
So you have two insurance companies running two hospital systems in the city, and they were basically like locking each other out from each other's hospitals. Like, your insurance is out of network in our facilities here, and your insurance is out of our you can't, our people can't use your facilities, your people can't use our facilities, and like they out of network.
No girls allowed.
It was a whole mess. Like, literally, you've got their hospitals in certain places, you've got their hospitals like within a mile of each other.
Yeah.
Like real close to each other, just because even
like
new
Home
ones,
Depot and Lowe's are always right next to each other.
Right. Like, this was like out in the area, in an area called Monroeville, which is outside of the city, up along the Pennsylvania Turnpike. There was a hospital that was associated with the Highmark Group, and then UPMC came in and built their own hospital in the area.
Oh, here's the comment from Brian that we glossed over earlier. He says, prices rapidly drop once customers can actually see them and shop around.
Yes, that's the whole point of competition. Yeah, I'm glad you threw that back up. I'm a slow fucking reader. I get the ADHD.
I feel like RFK should also just require they have an old school cash register and make a cha-ching sound like every time there's a billable event. It's like draw blood.
Cha-ching! I love this. Yeah.
Yeah, like but I mean, like if you're talking about, all right, I'm going and I'm gonna have blood drawn for a test, like what do you think, the amount of time for like a standard blood draw is maybe 2 minutes, like of actual work
for people
being
that
done?
are good at it. It's not long. Yeah.
Like, yeah. So
2 to
what
5.
would you expect? Like if you were to get billed 20,
It's a billable
30,
hour,
50
like-
bucks,
Yeah.
right? Like, even if you're talking, labor burden and everything like that, maybe that, and then maybe the testing, that varies based on what's being done, but you wouldn't expect it to be that crazy. But I'm sure, like, without insurance, it's probably like several $100s.
There's someone was just telling me about like private like blood lab kind of a places where you can go get like a blood panel done like way cheaper than if you were to go through like a hospital or whatever. And that just tells you the prices are made up in bullshit and inflated. And if you just strip away all this other superficial nonsense, that there are these little pockets of within the industry companies that are offering alternative, like private alternatives that are like, I mean, way cheaper, like a 10th of the cost or something, like absurdly overpriced. Some of the things I've seen the printouts of people that have been like, hey, I stayed overnight after a surgery in a hospital, and then they like broke down and decoded what it is and like the price for everything, and it was like Tylenol basically, and it's like $150 or something, and you're like, for 2 tabs of Tylenol, like, come on, man. Like, I get that it's a little different if someone has to administer it and if you were unfucking conscious or something or whatever, but there is no way that like acetaminophen or whatever should be $150. It's just absolutely asinine. But whatever.
Then if you talk about privatizing other things, like I saw, like when I lived in Midland, Texas, there were private emergency rooms. They weren't attached to the hospitals, but they were actual emergency, like not urgent cares. Like I know someone I worked with who had a heart attack and went to one.
Interesting. That's kind of cool.
All right.
I'm interested in this concept.
Guys, it's that time.
All right. Is this mono trivia? Yeah, you captured the essence of it.
Yeah, we got way off on that one, but we were having.
Yeah, I don't even know how we got there, but it was you brought up the RFK thing.
Yeah. Wait, that wasn't even one of our stories. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. But
well, we got into the free market stuff, and I'm like, oh well, look at this reform that might cut a whole bunch of money and defund some garbage.
I feel like Malay would approve of the direction, so I'm going to say it's relevant-ish.
Afuera.
Oh, crap. Brian brings up a good point. What are the odds on Zach messing up the scoring? I hadn't even thought of doing the scoring until just now.
So I'm going to guess that
did it.
I'm going to guess based off of the second topic here that Jake prepared this and not you, Zach.
Yep, this is all Jake's. I've read some of it.
This might.
What is the troubles? What does that mean? The troubles.
Screwed.
At least I know what the troubles is referring
it's
to.
In
I know nothing about it.
Stuff in Ireland, like the IRA and the Northern Ireland versus Ireland.
All right, well,
England
Nick wins.
Right,
if I'm gonna lose, and I'm gonna lose because I don't know much about boxing. I probably don't know much about this day in history. We'll see. And I don't even know what the troubles is. So I'm going to get another beer to start because if I'm going to lose, I'm going to lose drunk. So
might as well.
I'll be right back.
You could also lose to the audience, by the way. Just keep that in mind while you get your beer. So
yeah, that's fair.
I might lose to the audience tonight, which would be disappointing. But hey, a blind squirrel can't find a nut every time, right?
Yep. So let's go ahead and go over the rules real quick. So 3 rounds, 10 questions on round 1, 5 questions on round 2. And we're doing round 3 of 3 questions, Zane. We are not doing highbrow trivia. So basically 1, 2, and 3 points there per round. You guys know the rules. Reach up to your camera if you want to chime in, if you want to be called on. Don't blurt anything out or you lose a point. Let's see. I can't read that small. Anyway, and then the audience, you can just go crazy, put it in the chat. And the winner is no longer a loser for the week. Right now, the only non-loser is Nick.
I've won too much. Like we're gonna have to figure something out because I keep I keep winning.
You're gonna
everyone.
have to play Zane.
I guess that's a good question. I have not seen Hannah in the chat, Brian, but if she is here, there's a very good chance she wins. I'm also guessing, even though Jake's sick, there's a 50% chance he hops in for trivia.
He's not that
like,
sick, yeah.
He said that he wasn't even sure he'd be awake for this, so I think he is pretty sick.
Oh wow.
We might lose him.
He's
Not that bad.
touch and go, yeah. God.
All right, round 1. This day in history. All right, I got to
What's
bring
today?
up the answers.
I don't even know what the date is.
November 21st.
Is it the 19th? It's the 21st. I'm 2 days off. My God.
All right. Question 1. On this day in 1980, 350 million people tuned in to see who shot J.R. Ewing in what show?
A show?
Yep.
On TV show?
A television show. Yep. I knew this one
God.
too. I'm really pissed
Really?
I'm not involved. Yeah, my mom watched the show.
In 1980.
Alden.
The Carson show?
No. Do
I
you
don't
think
know.
someone shot somebody on the Carson show?
I don't know. I don't know. They were not. They
couldn't
tuned
even
in to
tell
learn
you
about it on the show, or they were shot on the show.
It's a TV show and somebody was shot, and we don't know who did it. They shot JR.
Fictional or?
Yeah, it's okay. Hint. Yeah, it's fictional. Nobody actually got shot.
all right. I didn't
So
know what.
some
the hell.
quack says Dynasty. It's not Dynasty. Brian says Gunsmoke. It's not
If-
Gunsmoke.
I
If
think
some
1980
quacks
is
is
after
Dynasty.
Gunsmoke, isn't it?
What is after?
Um,
19.
I thought
probably.
1980 is after Gunsmoke.
Who the hell?
Not Twin Peaks.
1980.
I don't know
I-
any TV shows from 1980.
I don't
Alright.
either. I'm just gonna throw out
Oh,
the
give-
only other name. Is it
Well,
Matt?
Nick has an guess first.
Oh,
I
my
have
bad.
no-
I'm sorry.
Country of origin.
Well,
have no
you
idea.
go and then I'll give a big hint.
I've got no clue of a
I have no
1980
idea.
show.
It takes place in Texas.
J.R. Ewing.
And
Is this
who
like a
shot
western?
JR?
J.R. Ewing.
Not that I know of. Honestly, I've never seen it.
Oh my God.
All right, I'm gonna end it
80s
there.
TV. Yeah, that's fine.
It is Dallas.
Oh, okay. I know of the
Yeah.
name, but
Okay,
I've never
I
heard
know
that.
of the name, but yeah, I never.
Yeah, it
seen
was
this
the
before.
biggest show in television for a while, and
Yeah,
somebody
this is-
shot JR, and everyone was like, "Oh, who shot JR?" And then apparently JR just rolls back up one day like nothing had happened. He's on like the back of a truck where like pigs are in the truck, and he's just like jumps off like, "Hey, I'm back, everybody."
What?
I don't know. That's what my mom told me once. So I've never
Okay,
seen the show
alright.
still.
It's funny that I know a lot of older movies, but I don't know any older TV. Like, I have no idea. It's like a whole different universe for some
Like
reason.
Yeah.
TV these days is so much more different than TV.
It
back then,
is.
'cause, like you get
Mhm.
consistent like storylines being told over multiple episodes and seasons, and
Yeah.
And like how many channels were there in 1980? So there were
like
more.
3.
Yeah, so you're watching
Like
the
5
same
or
stuff
something,
as
yeah.
everybody else. 350 million people. That's crazy. That's almost
That is a
Liberty
lot.
Libations
That's-
numbers.
That's
Like,
more
Yeah.
than as many people as were, I thought, in the nation at the time. Like, that's like an international
Well, you
audience,
gotta-
I guess.
yeah,
I
that's an
suppose.
international audience.
all right. Question 2. On this day in 1877, what wonderful invention was announced by Scientific American? Nick.
The light bulb.
Not the light bulb. Alden.
The radio?
Not the radio.
1877.
1877.
I would not have gotten this one. Alden.
The combustion engine?
No, not the combustion engine and not the steam engine, Brian.
Ooh.
The steam engine was around by that point.
All right, I got to go to Nick and then I'll go to Alden. Not penicillin, some quack.
Would it be? It's not the. It's not the radio. It's not the. The home oven.
It's not the home oven.
Can we get like a genre? I feel like I'm just grasping at straws here.
Yeah.
Radio was the closest. Something you listen to. That's a pretty big hint, I feel like. Nick.
Okay.
The phonograph.
Boom.
Oh, damn it.
Phonograph. All
I feel
right.
like I set, he spiked,
So what question are we on? 2. All right. Yeah. So I'm doing good scoring so far. I had a mini panic
The phonograph
attack.
was that late? I almost figured that was a little earlier, but that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
All
you're
right.
not
I wasn't
getting
there,
Right. I mean, it's electricity you're getting in. Well, what?
Not
I mean,
necessarily electricity of the phonograph.
Well, I mean, you're not even really into that. Like, you're only in the, you're only getting into the Gilded Age, the Industrial Revolution, post Civil War at that point. So.
Phonograph, just like the hand crank one, where they just like have it like wound on foil and carved in and everything. Like I was like, I don't know. In my mind, I was like, we can do that for forever ago. But like everything we have is so recent, really. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Question 3, which I'm going to pull the answer here. All right. On this day in 1934, what legendary singer won Amateur Night at Harlem's Apollo Theater?
34.
Looks like some clack got phonographed too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I gave it to Nick though. I didn't see the.
I said it before phonograph came and I was watching.
All right, Alden.
Ella Fitzgerald?
Boom.
Is it really? Right on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
That
was-
was truly like just a best guess situation.
I was figuring it had to be some jazz singer, and I forgot about Ella Fitzgerald. Yeah.
Yeah.
good
I have
job.
some
Good
Ella
guess.
Fitzgerald like vinyls, honestly. I like her stuff.
All right. On this day in 1976, what beloved sports movie was released in theaters? Alden.
Rocky? Or is that too old for Rocky?
Rocky.
Okay. I was like, it's close if it's not it, but
Good
All
call.
right.
I feel like when I think of Rocky, I think of the 80s because the franchise went so far, but I was like hoping the first one.
Yeah. All right. Question number
Oh, I beat
5.
Nick on a Pennsylvania related question.
Mm.
Although
Yeah,
Philadelphia,
but that's
not
the
Pittsburgh,
that's the
but yeah.
shitty side of the state. We don't
Yeah.
talk about out east. That's
Uh,
basically New Jersey.
Yeah, I accidentally went to New Jersey when I was in Philadelphia. Like I took one wrong turn and they're like, oh crap, I'm in New Jersey. And to come back, it's $5.
Yeah, and you're driving around Camden, and you're like,
They
I
make
hope
you
I
pay
don't get
$5.
shot.
To come
Exactly
back.
my thought. Yeah.
Because Camden's hood as fuck.
Oh my god!
right.
I don't know why they got
On
me
this
so.
day in 1916, the sister ship to the Titanic, Alden,
The Olympic.
I believe so. Let me check. Nope, not the Olympic.
Oh shit!
Let me finish reading the question because
Yeah,
I'm doing it wrong
sorry.
anyway. Then I'll go to. No, it's not your fault. I'm doing it wrong, but I'll go to Nick
okay.
afterwards.
I heard sister.
There's
I'm
only
not
one other
supposed to
answer.
bring the thing up. Sunk in the Aegean Sea. What was it called?
Right.
I'm gonna go with the Britannic.
Oh, okay. So when I heard sister ship to the Titanic, I thought Olympic, but the Olympic didn't sink. So I
Well, there were three. Well, there were three ships. There
think.
was the Titanic, the Olympic, and the Britannic. So you saying
Yeah.
Olympic just gave. I was between the two, and you.
Oh,
guessed
so it was the
one.
other.
I
Perfect.
was like,
Another
well,
set
it's the
spike.
Britannic.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
Because I don't think the
Number-
Olympic ever sank, actually.
6. On this day in 1783, Jean-Francois, French name. Jake, what are you thinking? I can't pronounce these things.
We're
I'm
not
just putting it on-
cultured.
Jean-Francois. I was proud of myself for saying Francois. Okay. now we have Pilate de Rosière
I don't know
and
how to say it.
Francois Lorient made the first untethered flight in what vehicle, Nick?
I'm gonna go with the hot air balloon.
Let's see. It is hot air balloon.
Yeah. When it said untethered, I was like, there's very few things that.
Yeah.
I got so hung up. I
Well,
was
there's-
trying to read his name. Good God.
Well, heavier than air travel didn't happen. Flight didn't happen until the 1900s and with the Wright brothers.
yeah.
Or apparently, there's a rumor that the flight actually started in Pittsburgh, from what I've heard. But
Oh.
let's.
You're just
not
a
get into
Pittsburgh
that, but-
supremacist.
Exactly. But regardless, yeah.
I got the
When you
steel
eliminate
balloons out there.
when you eliminate literally every flying invention except like Da Vinci's screw helicopter thing that never
the
really
little
flew,
ornithopter thing.
and hot air balloons, it kind of is obvious at that point.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, a tethered airplane or something would be crazy. So glad they didn't try that.
Flying in circles.
Yeah, I was gonna say all you can do is big circles. Yeah, perfect. It's
All
like
right.
a fair
On this,
ride.
yeah, something you see at KB Toys.
Yeah. Walking by the mall and
This-
almost hits you in the head. Like, yeah.
Okay. On this day in 1620, agreeing to abide by the laws of the new government, 41 men signed what document on their way to Plymouth?
I don't know. So what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't even get the question, honestly.
41
Okay.
men.
What
signed
document?
What document?
When it says Plymouth, it's referring to the Plymouth colony in Massachusetts.
Dude, I have no idea, but I assume so. Alden?
The Plymouth Rockument. That's
Yes,
as close
no,
as I guess.
I was
Yeah.
wrong.
That's all I got. I have no idea. I don't think any amount of hinting is going to get me on this. This isn't ringing a single bell.
I don't even know enough about it to give a hint.
This is real highbrow trivia over here.
I feel like I know this. I just can't think of what it is. Like
I know I don't know it.
Like
So.
I'm gonna say I know it's wrong, but for some reason Magna Carta keeps coming in my head, so I'm gonna just say it, even though I know it's wrong.
I'm going to say
Not
something
Magna
else that I
Carta.
know is wrong here.
All right, let's hear it, Alden.
The 95 Thesis.
That is not it either.
No, yeah, we know. The 41 Thesis.
It is not the code of Harambe either. Brian.
Hammurabi.
We have a
I don't know.
private chat comment also, which I didn't realize someone else was in here.
Oh, yeah.
Audience probably will get this one because
All right.
I have no idea.
That settles it then. I'm just going to bring Sean in. I was
I
going to make
wonder
him
if
wait
I'll
till
even
after trivia.
recognize it.
Sean just
Hey.
said it right in private chat. So we got Sean
Did he?
Kennedy joining us. Yep.
What's
It
the
is-
answer?
The Mayflower
The-
Compact.
Yeah,
Oh.
Mayflower Con.
I didn't know
I'm
there was a
also
compact.
35 minutes from Plymouth, so it's a little bit different here. We all
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Did you go to New England public school? Because I feel like that's an advantage we don't have, you know?
Yeah. We focus heavily on the local stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Plymouth,
Yeah.
nice place for a day. Don't spend more than a few days there. There's not
Yeah.
enough.
So, see, here in Western PA, we focus on like the French and Indian War and all the fun stuff. You know, George Washington coming and taking Duquesne out of the hand of Fort Duquesne out of the Frenchies, and Fort Pitt being created. And
So, yeah, I live in Georgia, so we just focus on the history of butter, apparently. I don't know.
It's a long and storied history.
didn't you grow up in Florida?
I did, though, yeah.
All right.
You
We've
had
got
St.
St. Augustine.
Augustine. That's kind of the St.
Yeah.
Augustine's kind of the like.
That's the
first
field trip
settlement on
that every fucking school takes is St. Augustine in like 4th grade or some shit. Like, so, yeah.
St. Augustine's great.
It's a cool spot, yeah. Good food, actually.
All right. So you're in it, Sean. You're not waiting, and you're on the board. You got 1 point. Nick has 1 point, and
He
Alden
kind of
has 2
outed him.
points.
He kind of outed himself in the private chat. I'm like, what's going on there? Well, now I saw your answer. I'm like, that sounds right, and it's like we gotta call that shit out.
All right. On this day in 2002, Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia, and Slovenia were invited to join what group? Nick.
NATO.
It is
Oh.
NATO.
I was thinking OnlyFans.
All right. I'm doing good on scoring, Brian. I'm keeping up.
In keeping with the theme of World War III.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Question 9. On this day in 1955, the Bosnian War ended with the signing of what document?
Oh my God. All these documents. I don't know these documents.
Yeah.
Should I just
Jake
say
is
just
obviously
like
doing paperwork. Alden.
the Bosnian War document? You know, I'm just going to say the first. That's it. It's my only guess. That's all
Yeah.
I got. Yeah.
It's a good
I figured,
guess,
but there was a
presumably.
small chance, but that's all I got. I'm going to drink my beer and wait for you guys to throw
Some
something out.
quack got NATO. Right
NATO.
on the last one. All right. Nick.
Okay, I am going to say it was the Treaty of. I'm just making stuff up. Budapest.
No, not the Treaty of Budapest.
Budapest.
And then it's not the Treaty of Aldernon. I don't even know if that's a real place. It might be.
Is it in Bosnia? I have no idea.
Probably. All right. Any last guesses? Because this one's
the Treaty of Borat.
Yeah.
Is it a treaty?
It's not treaty.
We don't even know.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just saying.
All right.
Treaty.
I could give a hint, but it'd be stupid and nobody would get it anyway. I think the hint would actually do more damage.
Do it. Just do it so we can.
Perfect.
It has something
yeah.
to do with Ohio. Alden.
The Buckeye document.
No. Nick.
All right, damn it.
The Cleveland Accords.
Ooh, so close. Very close. You got Accords right. I'll just give you that.
Really? Oh, okay. I was gonna say. Never mind.
All right. It is the Dayton Accords.
Dayton. Okay.
Dayton.
We would have been here in a while, but
Yeah.
Accords.
When I
though,
saw it
hey.
out of the corner of my eye too, I thought it said the Daytona Accords, and I'm like, "What in the world?" Florida
is
is
it Florida
on the
or
map,
Ohio?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dayton.
Yeah.
Dayton's not known for anything except Wright-Patterson Airfield, where all the aliens hang out.
I think there's a Miami in both Florida and Ohio.
Yeah.
There's a Miami.
Another bridge
Well,
between.
Miami. There's a Miami. There's a Miami University in Ohio.
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger played there, but it's in Oxford, Ohio.
Oh, Trixie.
All right. So now we're on to wait. How is
No,
this?
apparently there's another
Oh.
question.
Okay. I'm just thrown off because this question could fit in the second category too.
Oh, okay.
Which, by the way,
Ooh.
just for Sean, this is this day in history. This is our last question.
Which
Then the
Okay.
next one is
Alright.
the Troubles, and then the
I
last
have
one
no
will
idea
be
what that means.
boxing. Yeah. All right. So let me get
Okay.
back to it.
Which is all about just drawing squares.
I'm never good at history, so I have very low expectations personally.
That's
Yeah,
all right.
you're in good company.
New
here,
Mayflower
Yeah.
compact. So.
All right.
I don't know
On
what
this,
Jake was thinking. Like, we're not smart enough to answer these. So,
He was
was
trying to get
obviously
the
already
audience
sick.
to beat me.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
That's
that may
what's
happen.
going on here.
All right. On this day in 1920, 23 people were killed by the IRA, an event that became to be known as what, Sean?
Bloody Sunday.
Oh,
There's the question. Bloody Sunday.
Bloody
Yep.
Sunday.
I'm
IRA?
watching. Yeah. Irish Republican Army.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm watching something on
IRA.
Hulu about that right now. It's called Say Nothing, I think. It's pretty good.
Say nothing. I'm gonna write that down.
I
I
could be
know
wrong.
of Bloody Sunday at least. At least it's a name I've heard. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Say Nothing. It's pretty good.
say
I'm
nothing.
watching-
All right.
Yeah. All right. So that is the end of round one.
Thank
And
God.
Who got that one, Sean?
Yeah, he might be
Probably
winning,
with
but
his
he came
one
in halfway
answer,
through.
yeah, or two.
Everybody's tied up right now.
Oh
But
man.
Two, oh, except for the audience. Sorry, audience. All right, round two, the Troubles.
I
5
don't know what this
questions,
means.
2 points each. So basically, that whole the Ireland bull crap.
Oh, that's
Alright.
how you were saying this is kind of like
Yeah.
a bridging question. Like, yeah.
All right.
Well,
this is a
also
pretty-
the third one's boxing, and we had Rocky as the answer. And
Ah,
Yeah.
that's sort of fair. Fictional boxing, yeah.
All right. Question 1. What were the 2 main groups at odds during the Troubles? Sean.
Catholics and Protestants.
Let's see. Yeah. I'll count it. It's not what Jake
No,
had.
Irish and English, but
Oh, he does have Protestant and Catholic here.
No, he
there
says
we go.
mostly
it's
Catholic, mostly
Republicans,
Protestant.
mostly
Sure.
Catholics versus Unionists,
Yeah.
Loyalists. Yeah, that's kind of a very, very broad question on it.
I mean, it shows that you know of it, and it's an answer in my book. I don't care. Like,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a fair answer.
All right. Question 2. Which iconic Belfast structure was built during the height of the Troubles?
Dude, there's iconic Belfast things.
Yeah, I can't think of anything in Belfast.
iconic Belfast.
They built the Blarney Stone.
Belfast. I have no idea, man.
is it a wall?
That was literally going to
Belfast.
say
It's
just a
not
wall in
Belfast
general.
Cathedral. Were you guessing, Sean? I was looking away. I didn't see who answered.
I just threw out wall. I didn't really put my hand up, but Alden can take it.
Okay.
I mean, I
don't know if I can count wall, but it is wall related. It's really hard not to give that away.
I mean, oh my god, I don't know, man. I just Rockwall Distillery. That's combine a couple
King's
of things
Wall.
that
I don't know.
Nobody has gotten the right big beautiful wall yet.
I've not been to Belfast. I have no idea what's there. So
I've never been to Europe.
we haven't
they
all
had a wall.
traveled the world like Jake. So he's just
All right,
rubbing
I'll just
it in our
reveal it.
faces.
I'll give the audience like 2 more seconds. Boom. All right. The peace wall.
I mean,
So at the height of them fighting, they built a peace
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah. Probably a car bomb went off at the exact same moment as they dedicated it.
and that's
But-
where they made the Irish car bomb drink from, like the
Yeah, see, if you had told us that this was a thing, we could have had Irish car bombs for tonight.
Oh, I
That's
would have
true.
made a car bomb. Yeah.
All right. Question 3. Let's see here. What was the name of the agreement that was signed that ended most of the violence? Alden.
No more trouble.
No. I did have to check, though. The no
Yeah.
troubles.
Yeah.
Nick.
The Treaty of Dublin.
No. Rather than the troubles,
I
just
know
it's
this, and I
all
can't
good.
remember.
All right, I'll go to Alden.
Don't make me turn this car bomb around. I'm truly just, I have no idea. This is the type of trivia that like I really suck at, which is like, what was the name of the one specific document signed by this person in this year? I'm like, I
Well,
don't
it's also
fucking know.
history
Like,
I
no-
haven't paid attention to because honestly, like, who even remembers that Northern Ireland is a thing?
I mean, this was going on in the 90s. This isn't even that long.
Is this
ago, to
this
be
recent?
honest. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
When
was
was the treaty
4,
signed?
so-
Like 94 or something?
Yeah, literally, I just said
So I'd have been 2 years old. So
I'll ask
Yeah.
the trivia questions here.
I don't remember the name of it.
It
Ah.
is the Good Friday Agreement.
So we had Bloody Sunday and Good Friday.
Good
Yeah.
Friday.
Yep. All right.
Are we
Let's
gonna have
see.
Taco
Question-
Tuesday here?
Could be. Question 4. How many people were estimated to have been killed during the Troubles?
Are we gonna do like the number closest thing or something?
Sure. That sounds good. Nick.
I'm gonna go with 10,000.
All right, I'm recording Nick's. All right.
Put it down, official.
Yep. Any other guesses?
I mean, how many people are even in Ireland? I don't know.
All of them were killed.
I'll put 180.
180?
Not
All
1,000,
right.
but just 180. I'm gonna split the difference. I'm gonna go 9,000 and just see if there's somewhere in the middle. But
Not over 9,000. Exactly 9,000.
no,
And Brian
9,000.
guesses 10,001. He prices
Nice.
righted Nick.
Yeah.
All right, let's
How
see
many?
who got
I
it.
Dragon Ball Z'd it. He prices right it. Yeah.
Yeah. 3,532.
Oh,
I think Sean got it then.
yeah. What did he say? He had a low.
180.
More than that.
Yeah, that's closer
Yeah.
to mine. So.
We were both, I guess, technically a factor of magnitude off, but
Yeah, it wasn't
No.
that close.
he's
I-
yeah. None of us
I gotta
were
look at what
close.
that. I got that number from somewhere. It might have been like a specific type of death from something, because a lot of it was just pure terrorism
I-
through fear.
From Irish car bombs.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was the car bombs were indiscriminately blowing up anyone nearby. So
Right.
not only were they killing the people but they ended up having a few families killed and children killed by the car bombs.
Is
And
this
then the public
legitimately where
started
the
burning.
Irish car bomb gets its
Yeah.
name?
Yes.
I mean, it's where it gets its name, but if you ask for that over there, you're gonna get fucking tossed out of a bar.
That's what. Okay, so that's literally what I was just coming to next.
It's
Was
an-
like,
it's
why would
American
we? Oh my
They
god,
call it a
that makes
9/11.
so much sense.
If I ask for it in Northern Ireland or Ireland, will I get thrown out or both?
It won't matter. If you ask for that in Boston, you're gonna get fucking weird looks.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
there were car
Yeah,
bombs
we do
in
that
London, so it's not.
Yeah,
It wasn't
there's-
isolated.
Yeah, there's Irish pubs in Boston that will not serve that. You'll get tossed out.
That's so wild that that's like a thing here. That's just weird, man.
Yeah, that's a staple.
Why are we
of
so
St.
weird?
Patrick's Day in Pittsburgh, which is one of the biggest St. Patrick's Day celebrations in the
I
country.
went to school in Savannah, and like, I think that's the second biggest, and it's fucking. It was everywhere. Like, anyway, I just that's weird as hell. It's kind of way less tasteful than I thought, even, but
Yeah.
interesting.
I guess it's
I'm getting
worse
wrecked.
when you may have known families that were blown up.
Well,
or, like,
that's what I'm.
know
Well,
somebody
I
who
didn't
knows
even.
somebody.
I'm just a dumb American. I didn't know this was a fucking even tied to the name car bomb, the drink or whatever. Like, I had no idea. So like, I've drank many a quote unquote car bomb in my day, and now I'm like, I gotta call it something else.
All right, last question of this round, I believe. All right. The Troubles is thought of as a war. What is one of the specific designations for this type of war? Is blank war. And I think I saw Nick first.
I'm gonna go with Civil War.
Let me look. Forgot to look at the answer. It is not Civil War. I mean, I guess technically it was different country. I don't know. Sean.
Guerrilla warfare.
What did you
It's
say?
getting very close. Like, I would maybe count that.
What do you say?
Guerrilla.
Huh.
If Alden can nail it, I'll give it to him.
I was gonna say like a cultural war, but whatever's closer. Give it to.
I think when bombs are going off, it might be beyond culture war.
Yeah, that's
Beyond culture. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Give it a
Insurrection is getting close too. Well, sort of.
Insurgent.
Although anything's an insurrection nowadays.
Yeah.
I'll just reveal it. It's pretty
Asymmetric,
close.
irregular,
Irregular, or low
intensity.
intensity. That's kind of like a guerrilla warfare, but
Asymmetric
never-
to some extent, I would say.
yeah.
Regular low intensity. Guerrilla is like, when I think of guerrilla is like, I guess asymmetric is like partly because you're taking on like a bigger, stronger force, and so you're trying to be like more like low key and like in the fucking woods or shadows or whatever, and not like like army versus army type thing or whatever. But I literally have never heard of this term before, so
Yeah.
I
I think
wouldn't guessed all that myself either. It makes sense knowing what happened, but that I wouldn't just round that one off.
And I feel like insurrection is probably right too. It was like an insurgency that seems to have the same root word. I don't know. But all right. Round 3. Oops, I almost went crazy there. Round 3, boxing. Actually, it says boxing BS.
what?
All right. That wasn't on the title page, but here we go.
Uh-huh.
3 questions, 3 points each. So I think anybody could take it.
Boxing bullshit.
So, alternate names for the Irish car bomb, by the way: Irish Slammer or Dublin Drop.
No, they're Irish car bombs and always will be.
Yeah.
When you are raised Irish Catholic in Boston, you are told do not fucking order that.
I mean, that's totally fair, man.
I get it. It doesn't offend me, but like I get it. It's just
I don't see
funny how it like doesn't make its way around like
I don't see the same thing in Pittsburgh here, and I mean, there's a substantial Irish population here.
I mean, it's just a weird thing to make a drink out of. Like, are we gonna make the 9/11 jumper drink now? Like, this is so strange to me. That,
I mean,
like, this is
kamikazes are a thing.
Yeah.
so true. Oh my god, yeah, that is true. That's weird. We make weird drink names just as a species. All right, moving on. I'm sorry.
All right. Round
Kamikazes.
question number 1. Aside from the Rocky movies, what are the top 3 highest grossing boxing movies of all time? Alden.
Cinderella Man, and you said aside from Rocky, we can't name Rocky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does the Creed universe count
Yes.
as not Rocky?
Probably. I don't know anything about movies.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just gonna
Cinderella
guess.
Man, Creed, and Warrior. I don't know.
You got Creed.
Oh, Warrior.
Warrior's not
Creed's
in one of the top.
Cinderella Man's not in one of the top.
Not according to Jake.
What is it? Raging Bull.
No. But you get 2 more guesses. I'll just go ahead and give Alden 1 point.
Oh,
So
sure.
2 points up for grabs.
Oh, I guess Warrior's UFC, not boxing.
Some quack just nailed both of them. $1 Million
Oh.
Baby. And the
was-
Fire.
I couldn't think of what $1 Million Baby was. I could see the actress in it. I couldn't get it out.
Yeah.
I
Oh
had
man.
one.
I even honestly Warrior I would have thought like financially made sense, but it's I think technically not even boxing because I think it's UFC. The Fighter though. Who's in The Fighter? The Fighter. Is that Mark
Literally-
Wahlberg? Why am I picturing Mark Wahlberg with that?
Is that the
I gotta
Look it
look
up.
this
one?
up.
The
No, wait,
Fighter.
Christian Bale? I'm all over the place in
Yeah.
my mind with it.
Bale
No, Mark
was in the
Wahlberg is in
one.
it. Yeah.
That's the same movie.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So I have seen it. This has been a while.
I don't know what this 4, 5, and 6 mean, but
I have no idea. Million? Billion?
yeah, maybe
Trillion
Oh,
dollars?
I bet that. You know what? I bet the top 3
Oh.
are Rocky.
Oh,
That's
Rocky. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised
All right.
Creed was allowed in there, but
Yeah.
it's the same.
All right.
That's why I
Question-
had to ask, like, if it even like it's in the same canon universe, whatever.
All right. Question number 2. Who did Jake Paul challenge to an MMA fight after he defeated Tyson?
This is
Sean.
really recent.
Did you challenge McGregor again?
Yep.
That was
Conor
You
McGregor.
challenged
I should've
McGregor again.
I should have just said it as that was my guess, but
That was
Did
where
he-
my mind went.
I
to.
haven't heard
I
this
didn't-
yet at all.
I
But
didn't hear.
He
that.
challenged McGregor to a boxing match, right?
didn't he? Yeah, already. Oh, that's what it was, boxing. But now it's MMA.
Yeah.
So he turned down
What is it?
boxing, but maybe he'll say yes to MMA. We don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't know if you can
done any sort
fix
of
an MMA. That fight with Tyson was obviously trash,
Set up.
but I don't think he can fix an MMA match like that. Although
What did you think was going on with the Tyson fight? I didn't see it.
I've just seen some videos where it looks like punches were pulled, and even though Tyson's 58 years
It's-
Where
old,
like where there was like a point where they tied up and it looked like they said something
Yeah.
to each other, and then Tyson went from on the offensive to just like holding back. I've
Yeah, or
seen those
just-
videos.
Tyson's training videos versus what he looked like in the ring were just
Yeah.
two different people, and you're like,
I would have bet that Tyson would have won in a fair world of
too.
just like because he knows the sport so
Yeah.
well. And that guy at 58, that guy's cut as fuck, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but he is so old though, and I mean like
I don't know, man. That
what's his name?
guy's
Jake Paul hasn't
another
like
human.
he's been like doing decently. Like you keep seeing
Mm-hmm.
him go, and you're like, oh, he's gonna get his ass kicked, and then he doesn't, and you're like, okay, I mean, you're fighting like a 60-year-old dude, but
Did he fight Conor McGregor before?
no,
I think he
No.
challenged
You're-
him before.
he definitely
McGregor
challenged
fought
him.
Mayweather.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that fight.
I did find it funny during that, even though
Oh, yeah.
Mayweather's like undefeated boxer, Conor was like, if we were doing MMA, I would literally kill you. And I'm like, that's a pretty
if
good
he was
way
allowed
to
to
get
kick
into
him in the
someone's
head, like yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But that was the whole thing was that he challenged him on his own terms, and
Yeah.
Mayweather's just such a defensive boxer that it just
Yeah,
it wasn't a very engaging
that fight was
fight.
that fight was underwhelming.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I
Yeah.
saw that one. Yeah,
People are saying that the chick fight before it was better, and like they were like
Probably.
destroying
Yeah.
each other. So
yeah, probably. It was very
quack says-
defensive. Yeah,
Jake is 10-1. That seems pretty good.
10-1.
Yep. All right. Last question, which I think Sean has now got it. No one can beat him. No one can touch him. But just for fun here.
Oh, Jake Paul is 10-1. I was like, I thought we were talking about Jake, our Jake.
Oh.
10-1 in what? Like he's not playing, Joey. He made these questions, so he shouldn't be playing.
Yeah.
Jake Paul,
I see that
10-1.
now.
Got it. Okay. Sorry. I had a drunken dumb brain moment there. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
His one is versus this disease he has right now.
Yeah.
Jake has beat every disease until tonight.
Yeah, until chlamydia, he just can't whoop the
It's a
chlamydia.
tough one.
Jeez.
All right, last question. In what country and what approximate year was the first boxing match ever recorded? So I guess this is a twofer.
Oh God, I don't know.
Nick.
I'm gonna go with Greece
That was what I
in
was gonna say.
400 BC.
Should we just do the whoever gets closest thing?
Yeah.
I guess because that Greece
Whoever
was
gets
also
geographically closest to that would not be good. But all right, go ahead, Sean. What do you got?
Wait. Did we already? Are we doing both?
Yeah,
I
just
guess
go ahead
both,
and spit them
and we'll
both
figure
out.
it out.
All right. I don't know. I'll guess something totally different just because. I'll go England and 1600.
Okay, Alden.
That's interesting. I have no idea like what officially counts as like boxing and what we're doing. I was thinking like Olympics, so like my first mind went to like Greece or whatever. I like the England thing.
It's
I'm
hard
gonna
to-
go like zany, crazy, just like out there. I'm gonna go fucking Egypt, 1000 BC, just crazy like lambskin glove, just boxing in a weird sand ring. That's what I'm saying.
Well, okay, Brian guesses ancient Greece. Oh, that's only half the question, but let's
That
just
was
go
my
ahead and do
first
it.
thought, but yeah.
This is gonna be a
Yeah,
team
let's do
effort to see who won because I don't even know. Sumeria.
Sumeria. Oh, it's old as
3000.
fuck.
So geographically,
Alden, I think was closest.
maybe.
I
but
can't believe my
Yeah.
crazy ancient number was actually the closest. Like,
Yeah, turns out it didn't take people long to figure out to punch each other.
Well, it depends.
Well,
When you're
yeah,
talking Sumeria, it depends where exactly you're talking, right? I mean, Greece
So-
ain't that far.
if prostitution was the first, then this is maybe the second profession, like fighting each other for money. Like that's the second thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, is
Maybe.
it?
Yeah.
Are we talking just fist fights for money? Because if that's boxing, I could. That makes total sense.
Yeah, this is why I said like what is boxing, because there's like, you know, parameters for like what is boxing with like fists only and gloves and certain things, you know. But whatever.
Because I'm like thinking like you. I went to ancient Greece thinking Olympics, but I'm thinking
Yeah.
the primary thing there was pancreation. So like, I'm like, what counts? Like, we're talking about purely just punching each other? I don't know.
I have
That's
no
a good
idea.
question.
I don't know.
Anyway, so that
But
means that
Apparently it's
Alden.
Sumeria.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to split the difference. I'll give it to Nick because I have no idea where Greece is in relation to Sumeria.
Greece
Also, it doesn't
and-
matter. And I'll give
Sumeria-
half.
Sumeria is Iraq, and
Yeah,
Egypt and Greece
kinda.
would be fairly
Pretty
similar in
equidistant.
distance.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
almost split the difference. On
It's like a
that.
triangle
Yeah.
essentially.
So I give a
Now,
point and a half to
Alden
Alden,
has
and a
it
point and a half
in
to Nick.
time.
Yeah. So Alden had 4.5 points. Nick had 3.5. Audience had 2, and Sean had 9. And that's even
Sean
with missing a
wins.
few questions.
Coming in late.
Yeah, coming in
Yeah.
late even. Yeah.
Do we
Well
even
done.
have
Again.
something? I don't even think we have an option for a guest winning anymore.
Oh,
Really?
that's-
We don't have
really? I thought
guest
we used
wins?
to. Yeah.
I don't see
Just
it.
use like
Audience, like,
Steve
well,
wins.
Audience, I guess. Yeah.
just use
Yeah, I'll
Steve
just
wins.
use- or how about Jake?
Yeah, that works.
Ja- In Jake's
Not getting
honor,
used for anything else.
Sean was his champion tonight.
Yeah.
We definitely used to have something.
I thought we did. Yeah, because
Yeah.
what's his name? What's the comedian's name that won the
Adam?
trivia?
Adam
yeah,
Nutter?
yeah, Adam Nutter.
Yeah.
He won once.
All right.
We had
Background is
something.
screwed up. I will fix it.
Cool.
Don't fix it.
Yeah. I rigged it for Adam, by the way, too. I remember that was like the
Well, you went
time when-
animal. I lost by
Yeah.
one question. I couldn't think of blue-footed booby, and that basically was my downfall. But
Yeah.
Sean, what are you
well,
drinking,
I think
by
that
the
was
way?
around the time that Zane was winning too much. So I'm like, I'm going to stack it
was
against
going-
him.
Oh, knob, nice man. The rye, nice.
All right. So our next
You got Alden.
segment.
I had some
Oh.
Buffalo Trace, and I've just gone through a
Nice.
series of different beers here. I've got a local IPA now, but I had a Sapporo before. Some strange combinations, but
Yeah.
Bad.
I love a good rye though. Knob rye is pretty good actually.
Yeah, it is.
Zach admits that the trivia is rigged. It has been in the past. Yes.
It has been rigged. This is news to me.
Well, just against Zane, though. I mean, sorry if other people got caught in the crossfire, but just I was getting tired of Zane winning all the time.
Yeah, the first
All
time
right.
I played, I was like, "Oh, he's just trivia. He knows all the trivia." All right.
Yes.
Yeah, he is like
He's
born
crazy
to
with it.
trivia.
I'm terrible
great.
at trivia. When you said troubles, I was like, all right, I got like at least one of these questions.
You actually, no, you did pretty good. You stepped into like a kind of a good
Weird niche,
genre
weird
for
knowledge
you.
niche.
Yeah.
Very obscure. Half the stuff I'm like, I got nothing.
We should do whiskey trivia. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I might actually know something there.
We
We
are
do
already-
these genres where I look like a total idiot, and I'm like, I promise I know some things at least, but apparently it's just about guns and whiskey. I don't know.
We are already over time, so let's get through these last few ones if we can.
Oh man, are we? Yeah, sure.
I didn't realize that either. It's already after 10, but I'm fine.
Oh,
Let's
Randall
keep going
Carson.
if you got. Yeah.
There's
So here we go.
triangle over his
Former-
face, but I know that beard.
We'll get rid of that in a second. So it says formidable beasts such as lions, mammoths, and giant sloths used to dominate North America, but within a geological blink of an eye, they were gone.
Mhm.
Tennessee, we had mammoths and we had mastodons. Total in North America, there were 4 different species of elephants. Who thinks about that? You think elephants, you think Africa, first of all, Serengeti Plain, etc. You might think India. But who thinks North America had more elephants than Africa does? That's pretty bizarre when you think about it. But then you think about all the other species, the dire wolves, the North American Pleistocene lion that was almost the size of a horse, the 4 species of sloths, some of them as big as elephants, right? In northern, like in the Yukon area, Alaska, you had the imperial mammoth that stood 16 feet tall at the shoulder. Oh, you had the giant cave bear. You had Ursus spalaeus, the cave bear. You had Arctodus simus, the giant short-faced bear that stood on his shoulder up to 6 feet high and weighed up to 1,500 pounds. These were some pretty formidable beasts. And within a geological eye blink, they were gone.
And I think a giant armadillo was another thing that was here in like Florida at the time that was
That would just be like a tank.
massive, but yeah.
Armadillo,
lot of big stuff.
giant sloth. What's the difference?
One's armored and
They're
one's
armored.
slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
All right. So feel free to tee off on this, Alden, but I think the reason that Jake had brought this up this episode is
Uh-huh.
because of this website here called colossal.com/mammoth, where it looks like this company, if it's legit, is trying to bring back the mammoth. It says
Mm.
Colossal's
It's legit.
landmark.
I've listened
Okay.
to interviews with the founders of Colossal Bioscience,
Neat.
and yeah,
I was
they're
almost
trying to
wondering if it
protect
was one of those like elaborate hoaxes at first, but
I mean, this has been talked about for a while, but it would never be a full 100% DNA match mammoth. They would have to merge it with, I think, the Asian elephant and like
So
incubate it in one. And
So if you
That's
look,
what they say
look
here.
further on down, yeah, it talks about the
Well,
Asian
real quick,
elephant is the closest DNA match, and then
Yeah,
they would
that's what I
implant
thought.
it into an African elephant because it's bigger.
Mm.
oh, interesting! As the
Interesting,
host to bear the size of it, that's interesting.
Yeah,
It says that it's Colossal's landmark de-extinction project will be the resurrection of the woolly mammoth, or more specifically, a cold-resistant elephant with all of the core biological traits of the woolly mammoth. It will walk like a woolly mammoth, look like one, sound like one, but most importantly, it will be able to inhabit the same ecosystems. So I wonder if it'll have tusks. I mean, I guess regular elephants do too, but
Yeah, I don't know what shape exactly that they would be, but
yeah. Anyway,
I mean that would be
I'm just
interesting.
gonna-
I don't know.
I'm going to throw it out there now. We don't need any more giant cave bears. That
No.
sounds absolutely terrifying.
Yeah,
And I'm not for that one. Elephants, mammoths are great. Giant
Well, I can't
cave
remember.
bears are a no.
I can't remember all of the. I've listened to these guys on a couple different things. One was like the Meat Eater podcast, and
What Meat Eater? About the one that potentially took out the mammoths, or
no,
Younger Dryas.
like Meat Eater,
right?
The
Meat
Meat Eater
Eater.
podcast, yeah, with Steve.
Oh,
Varnell.
I thought you said Meteor, not Meat
Yes,
Eater.
I thought too.
No, the
Okay,
Meat Eater
yeah.
podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pittsburgh accent. What do you want?
No, it's all right. I already do want to know what a mammoth tastes like, so I hear you.
So like I know that they did an interview on there, and I know I've seen some other ones too. But yeah, basically I think their goal is they're taking at the mammoth, and I think they might be looking at the dodo, and I think they were talking dodo
right.
and maybe the Tasmanian tiger also.
Yeah, I think that's what this one says here.
No
It
T-Rex.
says, based in Austin, Texas, biotech, colossal bioscience is at the forefront of de-extinction critically endangered species.
Mhm.
They're going to use CRISPR technology to bring back extinct animals such as the mammoth, the dodo, and the...
That's the
Can anyone pronounce
Tasmanian
that?
tiger. Thylacine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that's what this is here.
Tasmanian
right,
tiger.
right.
Oh,
Which
look at their weird pouch.
Which I've heard is maybe not even extinct.
That's what I was just going to say. I've heard some
I heard
reports of
that
people
too.
seeing that. Yeah.
That would make it a cryptid.
In a
I
way,
think
yeah.
yeah, that's interesting.
How does anyone? How are they doing it? I understand the mammoth one because they have found mammoth frozen in permafrost.
Frozen preserved DNA. Yeah.
So
right.
I understand the DNA being somewhat intact or the composition still being there, but how are they doing it with animals that, there's no permafrost in Tasmania? So
I imagine
the thylacine
there's-
only went extinct, I think, at the beginning of the 1900s.
That's what I was gonna say. I imagine there's some samples
So it's
somewhere
still-
saved.
okay.
Like, yeah, because these are very modern. These are like hunted to extinction or whatever. Like
The
kind of
dodos are a little bit more extinct, but the thylacine
A little
is
more
not
extinct.
that old.
Yeah. I just think of the line from Jurassic Park where he's like, condors. If I was to create a bunch of condors, like you would have nothing to say about it. Anyway.
I got a weird
Go ahead.
question. If they get like Neanderthal or Denisovan DNA and they're able to do that, do you think that they should do that or they should not do that?
Bring about a Neanderthal.
Well,
you'd
There's
have to
already people
hybridize
with
it.
Neanderthal DNA.
Yeah, there's more.
Yeah, there are.
so, yeah.
I mean, most
But
of us
no.
have something, but
Don't do
yeah,
it.
that would
Don't
be
do it.
so ethically like
You
a gray
obviously
area.
do, Nick.
what?
So maybe
I
China
have
will do it.
Neanderthal DNA. I don't know why.
I mean,
I
I'm-
just felt like picking on you.
I'm not. That's the thing. Like Denisovans were, like Neanderthals were, what they were. I thought they were more like Western Europe. Denisovans were what, Asia to Russia
Southeast
sort of
Asia.
area.
Siberia.
Southeast
or
Asia
whatever.
to
Siberia.
Denisovan's further east.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it went up into Siberia also, but yeah.
That's what
So
I
you're
thought.
leaving me, basically Eastern European descent, kind of out of all of that.
I mean, in general, I think my hesitation with this is just I've seen how this goes. I've seen people fuck things up a lot, and I just get a little nervous. And then the other side of me is like, bring back the dinosaurs. Like, I want to see it. Like, the kid in me is
Depends
like,
on
bring
whether you're
back
too
the
busy
dinosaurs.
to
We're a-
ask.
we're a
You
ways off.
should.
Yeah,
they've-
right.
They've in the interviews with the Colossal guys, and I think there's one other organization working on it also, but I think Colossal's the big one right now. I think they've said like dinosaurs are way too far out there for them to do, but being
Finding
that
a
you have
sample of
elephants and you have
DNA
mammoths and relatively the last mammoths didn't go extinct all that long ago.
I think it was like 4,000 years or something. the
I think
last
less
one,
than
so.
that out on because they survived on Wrangell Island for a good amount of time.
We were already boxing by then.
Yes. So we had
Well played.
I know the idea is to like introduce mammoths back up into like the Canadian tundra,
Yeah.
which would be kind of wild.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Did
know,
you
I
guys
think they had-
hear why they want to do that? As far
I
as
think they had-
weird-
Canadians in check.
I mean, besides like the interesting factor of like being able to do it, I think they had some like decent, like at least theories or hypotheses about the niche that these large mammals might fill in the either in the Canadian tundra or in the Arctic forests.
Like the whole wolves in Yellowstone thing.
Yeah, at least they had some theories, I believe, on that where they were able to like say, yeah, if we reintroduce it here, that's gonna fix this, fix that. It might be able to do this. Like it's probably not going to like hurt anything.
I doubt the numbers that they're going to make are going to have any impact, but they say that it's their target is to try to turn the taiga back to like a grassland and keep the permafrost more frozen, because like the snow that builds up is not trampled by a big enough creature, and so they want it to get, because snow is an insulating layer, and so it's actually allowing the permafrost to warm, and so they want to keep it cold, so they want to introduce the air to the ground level. It's about a whole carbon thing where they're trying to keep the permafrost like gases like frozen in the ground or whatever. They're basically, the pitch is to save the planet from fossil fuel emissions kind of thing or whatever, like by
create more fossils,
bringing back dinosaurs kind of thing or whatever.
I mean, we're talking about different niches too, right? So right now up there, I mean, what do you have? As far as large mammals, you've got bears, whether
moose,
polar, grizzly. You've got the large ungulates, either moose, elk, things like that, caribou. But you don't have, I guess, something, and those are eating grass. But you don't have some sort of large forested kind of creature like a mammoth up there. I mean, maybe a little bit of, I don't even know if bison are going up that high. So
no.
Well, Bigfoot, yes, of course. When he's in this dimension and not in another dimension.
That's true.
Right,
Yeah.
of course.
So
all right.
Anyway,
I think it's interesting. I don't see the downside to actually trying it. I mean, yeah, there's the question of whether splicing in mammoth DNA into an elephant DNA is the same thing, and I think we could debate that endlessly. But
I mean, it's not the same thing. I feel like that's a quick debate, but
but if right, I mean, is this a ship of Theseus thing almost, like where you have the same exact thing, even if it's not actually the same exact parts of what was there before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe it's not the same exact, but how close is close enough, right? The species divide is the species divide is very, very blurred, no matter what you're talking about. Like you have donkeys and horses that seem completely different, but hey, they produce mules, or tigers and lions. And
can mules not breed though? Is it like, does that
mules
end the
can't?
line there?
Ligers can't.
So I wonder if these elephants would be able to breed on their own.
Dolphins might be able to.
Wait, a wolfen?
What the hell's a wolfen?
It's
a dolphin walrus?
German pilot?
It's a whale dolphin.
I pictured a dolphin walrus, which is an interesting image.
So like there's certain of these hybrids that can breed. So the species divide is very, very blurred. So, how close is close? I mean, as it is, we share 90-something% with like dolphins and like 98% with
most
chimps.
mammals will
maybe you do
share a majority. We share a lot of genes with a banana, it
comes down more. It's not so much the genes themselves; it's the chromosome counts.
Right.
That the matching up on chromosomes is what matters.
46
I was
and
going to
2.
mention that as well as the chromosomes.
This podcast definitely has the most chromosomes.
We have a couple extra. Oh, we're getting banned for that one.
Oh.
But yeah. I don't know. I don't see the harm in them trying this, and I think it's at least an interesting concept. I mean, it'd be cool to see something that looks like a mammoth out there.
I feel like a mammoth is a pretty easy thing to control, where it's like they're easy to spot. Like if you start like doing some prehistoric mosquito thing where it's like really hard to keep track of, like that worries me more. Or some microbe thing or something, some fungus that could take over an entire environment, and like how do you stop it? But like a big lumbering mammal, like if it goes wrong, then I don't know. You can pull the plug
from a helicopter.
You're gonna have to a breeding
Sarah
population.
Palin,
I don't think that. I don't know how much we know about them, but I don't think they were super.
Who's got a train?
super solitary. It's not me. I'm not that close to her, brother.
You got to train you. Nice.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd be tagged. I mean, those things would be so valuable. There's no way they wouldn't be watching.
Oh, no, exactly where they are.
The poaching market for the first 3 mammoths released into the wild. Are you kidding me? The amount of money that would be. Yeah,
well, that's the thing, though. That's the thing, though, because like I said, they're gonna when they release them in the wild, it's gonna be up in the Canadian Arctic, and you can't have guns in Canada because they're pussies.
Oh, that's
hunting stuff.
It's like political asylum for mammoths. Then it's perfect. You can spear them if you want. Risk your own life, like at your own risk, like
primitive hunting.
Yeah,
people would pay to do that for sure.
Oh, it's going to wipe them out. They'll wipe them out again. The Inuits or whatever they got up there.
You'd have to do the old school like skull. What is it? What's the place in Canada called? I think it's called like Skull Bastion Buffalo Jump or something.
Oh, I don't know.
Where they
run them off cliffs or something?
That's where the native. Yeah, that's one of the places the
Native
Americans
hangs out at.
That was that's probably the Chippewa or the Ojibwe. It's like my tribe or whatever. Like up in that.
I think it was up Calgary or Alberta or something.
Oh, that's the other side then. Never mind.
Alberta. Yeah, that was out west or BC, somewhere out there. I worked with the Canadian at one point, and he was like in our Pittsburgh office, and he was naming all these ridiculous Canadian names. And one was like Skull Bastion Buffalo Jump or something, and one was like Mosquito Bit or something. And then of course there's like Dildo Canada.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Do you guys agree that with the sort of the academic, theory that they were just hunted to extinction by early man, or do you think there was like a natural cataclysm that added to the situation?
I don't think the evidence is there that it was a hunt to extinction. I think well, we already don't believe in climate on this, but if climate was a thing, I think there was a bit of a change there. But we also know the last populations were.
Well, there definitely was a change. Like it's just a matter of like why.
Well, we know the last populations got super inbred on Wrangel Island, which is not that huge of an island off the north coast of Russia.
Okay.
Yeah, that was another thing that I think came off of the Meat Eater podcast I was listening to at one point. I was trying to re-find it after Jake mentioned it, but there was I remember listening to a podcast that was a whole story on all in that area, Wrangel Island and some other island, and all the sea ice and getting stranded out there and all sorts of crazy stuff. But
might have been the Younger Dryas. They killed them all.
I don't know if it was.
I think the Younger Dryas wiped out a lot. I mean, all those things he was just listing in that video that was played with were all Younger Dryas.
Yeah, that's the megafauna extinction of that period.
Yeah.
But
at least in like North America and stuff, right? Like, because we got the megafauna still existing in Africa, but we lost the saber-toothed tigers, we lost the short-faced bears, we lost the giant sloths, lost the mammoths, we lost all the like
giant ape,
all the things that we consider zoo animals that lived in North America were gone.
Gigantopithecus.
That was Asian though.
Also,
I think that was much older.
It's curious that the size of those megafaunas are like the largest of the megafauna at that time, which I think is super interesting that was found here.
And it's interesting with finding the samples of like some that were killed, like the one famous one where it's like a mammoth that was like blown backwards, broke its legs.
Fucker.
What? Oh, it's Steelers
update about the football.
Yeah.
The Browns converted on a 2-point conversion. It's 18-6.
Right.
Sorry, I'm watching football while we're doing this.
It's all right.
I thought you were very passionate about mammoths. Like, do not bring that sore subject up.
But the example of the mammoth that was like forced backwards so hard that it broke its legs. Mammoth femurs gotta be big. I don't know. That's got to take some serious force. And then it was frozen like instantly, and it still had food in its mouth that it was chewing at the time when it was. Is that literally what was in its mouth?
Yeah,
like
that's what I've heard.
Yeah, a little buttercup salad. Like that is a crazy event. That's not just a normal died from starvation or a blizzard thing. It's like it was eating something. It had greenery that it was eating, and then it was hit with a force. And so, like, some would say, like Graham Hancock would say, that it was like a comet or a meteor like impact, and the force of that did it. And then someone more like Robert Schoch would say that it was potentially like a solar event or a geomagnetic event that allowed like these like drastic like plasma storms and hot and cooling and different things. And like there's various theories. It depends on where, but all are not talked about in the mainstream, these types of things. And it's basically just brushed over, and we're just like, they were just hunted to extinction by people with wooden spears or whatever. Like,
that's the thing, is like a single cataclysmic event like a meteor or something, as you know, that would be a very hard sell that drove the extinction. Like it very well could have killed an individual, groups of individuals. But I mean, you look at like Tunguska or something like that took out, that was a pretty large explosion, pretty large thing. Killed however much, but
Tunguska, the one that blew up over the ground, that
over Siberia and like knocked out all those trees,
wiped out
square
miles of
everything living. You're still talking a fairly localized thing when you're comparing like something that when you're talking about, even if we're saying, okay, if we eliminate the mastodons and we're only talking about, say, the mammoths up in the Canadian Arctic, out on the tundra, whatever. I mean, you're talking about a massive amount of land, and like if you were talking in some sort of like mass extinction from some kinetic event would have to be on the scale of the dinosaur thing, which I think we would have found evidence of that.
It hit,
especially how recent it was.
Yeah, but
now something smaller on the Tunguska scale would be completely plausible.
From watching him, it's the theory is that it wasn't a singular impact, that it was a trail of impacts, and they spanned across the North American continent into the Atlantic, which caused also damage over in Africa. But the damage itself was due to water and mass flooding. So it like
melting instantaneously, and
instantaneously melting the water, water vapor in the air, and just mass deluge all the way down around the Rockies, basically.
And we actually do have some evidence of this in terms of like the water patterns over like the Dakotas and different areas and things like that. And two, I forget the name. They're like the Carolina craters or whatever, like where there's all these little round or like ellipse-shaped holes like along the East Coast and stuff. And like there's actually quite a bit of.
I haven't dug too deep. I've heard that, but
it's really interesting. Like you said, like in the Carolinas, there's what they were attributing to ice age melting and moving glaciers. If you can track the patterns in a different manner as opposed to the glaciers floating south. And you have this kind of diagonal thing going on, which is what he's kind of presented as his evidence.
The trajectory
the glacier, the trajectory. It removes the glacier hypothesis, and then you look at the meteor is causing massive holes in the ground.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've watched enough of this stuff where like
you talking about Graham Hancock or
Randall Carlson.
Oh, Carlson, Hancock. Right, both of them.
But the younger Dryas is Carlson's like that's his big thing. He has like a 7-hour presentation on that.
I've seen lots of stuff on both of them talking about it.
Yeah. I mean, it does flow between the two. Like Graham Hancock has his new show that he put out on Netflix has the feet.
I haven't seen the Americans one yet. Yeah,
it's like
I started watching it. I haven't gotten too far.
They found footprints from like 20,000 years ago, which blows the Clovis theory out of the water.
Yeah,
so it screws everything up that they have, and you kind of
that's
know
why people are pushing back
accurate.
On it. Yeah.
But the theory on the deluge and stuff is super interesting. I would definitely recommend you do it, and a lot of it has to do with why we can't grow crops in certain states. There's no topsoil; like everything was completely wiped clean all the way to the bedrock and wiped south. So anything that lived there, gone, completely gone.
And why some areas?
But then we're still talking about having to have been extirpated from other areas before that. So it's a more complex topic than one explanation.
Yeah, I don't think it was one thing. Yeah.
All right,
And
guys,
then-
we got to move along
yeah.
a little bit here.
Oh, sure.
Sorry, we got a few things to get to.
It's all right. I'm half drunk and I could talk about cataclysmic events until dawn.
Yeah, I kind of ran through this bottle of meat already.
Nice.
Perfect.
All right, real quick, I got to plug Dollar Media Club at peacefulsea.network. Jake has told me there will be 2 episodes of Pants Drunk coming out next week. And it'll probably be instead of Liberty Libation, since next week is Thanksgiving.
Oh, I was just going to ask because I figured we weren't doing anything.
Yeah, I probably would not do it on Thanksgiving, but interesting. I need to talk to Jake and get a Pants Truck thing going. But yeah, join the Dollar Media Club. Jake's got some great documentaries on there.
$1 a month.
Support the show. $1 a month supports this show and helps us grow and become even better.
I'm excited to set up a talk with Zane. I feel like it'll be like the meeting of the neurodivergent minds here in a different way, and it'll be fun.
But Divide and Dominate, I was Divide and Dominate. I was an associate producer on that. The Cascade Effect is so far. I've watched the episodes that have come out. It's been great.
Well, that's what I was going to talk about too.
Your thing,
yeah. Right? The Cascade Effect. There is another episode out now called
episode 3.
I think this is the 3rd one now. It's called Jury Manipulation. So that's another hour and 17 minutes of this segment. So if you've been following that, it's about a police involved shooting up in Montana, and some shenanigans that went on. Was it good? Was it bad? We don't know. But this episode is about jury manipulation. So that's
very bad, guys.
Screwy. So check that out, to keep up with that. I think there's been now 3 episodes, and they're all about that hour and something mark too. So there's a lot of content there and a lot to, dive into. It's sort of a true crime documentary / podcast.
I didn't notice there was a 3rd episode, but I've watched the first 2 and it's been great so far. So
yeah.
Definitely.
All right, let's see.
Check that out. But yeah, for $1 a month, you spend, don't buy coffee for 2 days and have a Peaceful Sea for the year.
Yeah.
Right? It's a low price and you're supporting this show.
And all sorts of stuff will be added eventually. I know like Hilton is going to have a show eventually. Alden's going to have a show eventually. I believe Jake's going to have another one, probably making his, 20th podcast. I believe Edgar Mills might be starting one on Peaceful Sea.
That's true. Yeah, Edgar's coming on. Jake said that last week. I'm going to come up with something. I don't have it quite yet. I haven't gotten into that point, but I do plan on starting something on it. So, and in addition to magical manhole covers.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if anybody's interested, go check out Banish Big Brother. Also, it's out there everywhere. Podcast apps, Rumble, YouTube. And that's mine and Elizabeth Melton talking about our dystopian future, basically, and what we can do to fight back against it. And just all sorts of, fun AI news and smart city news of the day. All right. And then we do have a good drunkard of the week this week, I've been told. Maybe we should wait for Alden to get back because.
Yeah, drunkard of the week's the most important segment.
Anyway,
we don't have a what is it, whining philosophical or whatever tonight.
No, I think we just worked that in. Every time I host the show, it just goes way longer than I mean for it to.
Yeah,
because I don't police for time at all.
Jake cuts us off, and you're like, although we got off on tangents with the Malay thing, and then you were finishing up the Russia thing, and I was like, oh, by the way, missiles are hitting Russia right now. So
yeah,
that's important to mention. Yes, touchdown.
All right. Well, let's watch a funny video while we wait on Alden to get back, and then we'll have fewer of those after drunkard of the week. So let's check out this one. I haven't seen any of these.
Is 2nd Street in Sacramento. 2nd is the first most common street name in the US. 1st is actually 3rd because a lot of cities use Main, which is 7th, in place of 1st. 3rd then comes in 2nd, and 4th is right in line at 4th. Park is then 5th, and at 6th is 5th, and 6th is 8th. Oak is 9th, and to round out the list, at 10th is 7th.
All right.
Yeah,
I don't find that funny. I find it maddening.
I knew that 2nd was the most. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Here's another. Which, by the way, can we play? I mean, I guess we can play. It says Lincoln Park in the background. Hopefully, we don't get taken down. But whatever.
It'll be all right. I hope.
All right.
I like that one.
Okay, the instant goose. Let's check this one out. No sound. 1 second.
Brian is right. When you're in Atlanta, everything is Peachtree something.
Oh my God! Yeah, everywhere.
Every road is a Peachtree something. Yeah, and there's
Yeah.
however many Peachtree streets, and yeah, it's
Georgia, man. I got a peach tree in my yard. It's just everywhere.
Oh, I've been playing this other video without having it on screen.
Mastering these.
Give me a second. I was wondering why you guys were talking over it so much. I'm like, I don't know. I guess we'll chat.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see anything.
No, it's all right. It's my bad. All right, let's try this one again.
Technique where you goose the first duck instead of going into a duck rhythm. The best time to use this technique is when the player before you does a lot of ducks. It's the change in rhythm that throws them off. Goose.
Pay close attention to the way I act once I become it. I act tired and disengaged. Then I strike.
Goose. Goose. You can't do that. Actually, as of right now, the instant goose is still technically tournament legal. He's got his knife! What you want to do here is block, disarm, knee to the groin. Mastering these duck, duck, goose techniques is essential if you ever want to be taken seriously.
Yeah, when we got to that part and nobody laughed or even giggled, I'm like, well, something's definitely wrong.
Yeah, no, we needed to see it first, I think. Yeah. That's
all right,
funny.
I think this is the last funny, then we'll go backwards to drunkard of the week.
Oh, okay.
Let's go.
It's the hand thing, yeah.
What are you doing?
What in the world?
$1 lemonade. What do you have? Lemonade on the rock. Coming right up. Thanks. I'll have what he's having. Thanks. All right, I gotta get back to the wife. This lemonade's incredible. What's the secret ingredient? Piss. What's it take to work in a place like this? I don't know. I'd have to run it through corporate. Well, can I get an application? That's all kind of online. Just give me a shot. Look, it's not gonna work, okay? There's the door. Hey, maybe one day. Taxi.
Where is this going?
What's this? The best lemonade you'll ever have. So what you do with that lemon back there? Yeah, it's the least I can do. You? Here's your stop.
That was the whole
modern
thing?
sketch comedy.
It felt like there needed to be a little bit more.
That
This
was
is
like,
Zoomer sketch comedy.
yeah. That was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
All right,
Oh my
so
God.
last one here, drunkard of the week, which I was assured was a good one. That's why we had to wait on Alden for this.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah.
Here we go.
I am not fucking drunk.
19th blue.
Every pretty girl deserves to go to a ball.
This is everything about it's a clam. I love it. I gotta be honest with you, I feel like I'm a little bit too drunk to stand up.
On Wiedersehen, asshole.
I'm drunk right now.
Sir, before I take you out of the car, I just got a few questions I gotta ask you. Do you have any weapons on you right now? You do? Like what?
This right hand and this left hand.
All right. Now is not the time to make jokes. I'm going to ask you some serious questions and I need some serious answers.
All right.
Do you have anything that can poke me, stab me, or stick me? A knife, a pocket knife, anything like that, a needle?
I can't check because my hands are handcuffed.
As far as you know, do you have anything like that on you?
Not sure.
Do you have any drugs or alcohol on you as far as you know?
I don't think so.
Okay.
He drank them all.
When we get inside the building, if I find anything on you, that's going to be another charge.
Oh.
So tell me now.
Will I go to jail?
All right.
We want to be free to do what we want to do. Yeah. We want to get loaded. Yeah. And we want to have a good time.
All right.
I like that.
I didn't get to see it. It didn't play for me.
Oops. Well, we shouldn't have waited on you then.
Oh
well.
It's a waste.
Regardless, we got a nice strip sack for a Steelers recovery. So 7 minutes left in the game. So
football terminology is so sexual. Strip sack.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap up. Let us know anything you can let Nick. Where can we find you? Anything to plug? What do you got?
Now that the campaign's over, nothing really. I occasionally tweet stuff, I guess, trying to do more over at you can see the Twitter handle there. It's gonna be hard to spell or find. But I'm there. Yeah, like Zach. You can find me most weeks here on Liberty Libations, and that's kind of the big thing right now.
Cool. What about you, Alden?
I mean, I'm here on Thursdays, not next Thursday. Drink more whiskey. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. What about you, Sean?
Hey, thanks for the invite. I like hanging out with you guys. It's always a good time. I'm the chair of the American Liberty Caucus. You can find us on X, AL Caucus. Come check us out. We're in the Libertarian Party. We got a lot of libertarians involved. We're trying to grow, trying to do some more with more people. So follow us, reach out to us. We got a website, all that. Come check us out. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
All right. Cool. That's about it. Last thing Brian brings up, Range Day on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
So the Libertarian Party of Georgia is putting on Range Day, which we've done every year for a couple years now at Edgar Mills' place. Since great time. He's a retired Green Beret and now just shoots guns on his property and trains people. It's lots of fun. So you can check that out.
Sounds like a good time.
lpgeorgia.com.
Where's
and
that?
It's
that
in
looks
Rome.
like Wormslow, but Rome. That's like an hour from me. That's not far.
Yeah. So yeah, go check that out on lpgeorgia.com. It's right in the banner. You can see LP or 2A Range Day right up there. And then it's $50 for, being trained by a Green Beret for several hours. So 10 to 4, 6 hours for $50.
Nice.
And half of that goes to the state party and then the other just to Edgar. So it's a great deal if you're into this sort of stuff. He's, I don't know. He's a really good teacher. I'm in one of these photos here, so I've been through it, and I felt like I learned a good bit, had a good time, met a lot of cool people, and the weather right now is amazing. It's a good time to be outside.
Agreed.
That's about it.
And you didn't shoot yourself in the foot.
I did not. Any last parting words, anybody, or are we all good?
Pineapple.
Yeah,
there we go.
We're good with that.
All right. Check out Pants Drunk next week. Check out Banished Big Brother. Probably won't have an episode next week, but we'll be back in 2. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
I'm sure Jake's got episodes of the Wrexham Texum or something else. So.
There has been
Wrexham
one recently
Texum.
I saw. The Wrexham Texum. But anyway, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.